hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now.
Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
I don't know why I've been taking like the brief pauses before starting the episode.
That's the millennial pause.
Yeah, then I've been using like ChatGPT to help the pod, like help me come up. Hey, for the listeners, ChatGPT don't help me with shit. Now, you're not supposed to curse in the first like 60 seconds. But so I use it to kind of help formulate topics, and they always think you're supposed to start a podcast with a cold open. I'm going to start it with a hot topic. The Carter 3 is overrated. It is not the album that people think that it is. Carter 3, it went platinum in a week. Carter 3 is not the album that people think it is. That's my, I don't know. You got anything on that, Aaron, or what?
I don't know how you come from New Orleans and say that. That's kind of blasphemy, especially as a former 504 guy. Like Carter 1, Carter 2, set Carter 3, you had the Jewels, you had those, like the Jadakiss joint. So I think, man.
Yeah, Carter 3 overrated. So Carter 1 is, to me, the best Carter. And the reason why I'm having this conversation, because for the listeners, y'all probably ain't heard us since the Carter 6 came out. Right? It's Carter 6 now, right? For me, 500 Degrees is a great album. Carter 1 is a classic. Like, I think I listened to Carter 1 more than any other album ever. Carter 2 is good. It's like a 4 out of 5. Carter 3, to me, was trash, man. From the intro on to Mr. Carter with Jay-Z, like, to me, it was Dr. Carter. How you go from Mr. Carter to Dr. Carter, man? I don't know. That album to me was just not it. Carter 4 was a little better than 3, and then 5 is trash juice, and then fucking 6 is just like, what are we doing, man? Now back to Wayne again. Dedication 1, fire. Dedication 2, okay. Prefix, suffix, fire. Like, Wayne had a run. Wayne had a 3 to 4 to 5 year run when Wayne, like, that's going to cement Wayne in, history as a top 10 rapper. Some people got him in a top 5, but I'm not with Carter 3 the way. Most people think Carter 3 is his best album, bro.
I ain't say that. I just said I think it's a good album.
What you think is best album?
I'll go with the first Carter.
Yeah, first Carter is.
But once the codeine consumption went up, that's when his content went down. So
yeah, and he lost Manny Fresh, right? Like, Manny Fresh didn't produce none of 2, right? I think he just did one on 6, and he probably been scattered throughout. But remember, like, they had Cash Money. It was this whole big kind of disconnect off of Carter 1. Really, remember that whole "Miss My Dog" song or whatever? Yeah. But Carter 2 just wasn't it. He was working with, Carter 3 just wasn't it. 2 was okay. He was working with different producers, boom, boom, boom. And I've been telling people this, and the reason why I'm hard on it, because I know some people listen that was on my first ship. I've been telling people Wayne was falling off since my first ship, man. Just like I told people Will Smith sucks, like, since my first ship. You know what I mean? Like, I told people Will Smith wasn't a good actor since my first ship. It's all coming to fruition. And I got some smoke. Well, I got something to say about Tyler Perry a little bit later in this episode.
Yeah, I got a lot about him. He must be stopped.
Yeah, I got something to say about that. Matter of fact, let's we don't have a former fashion, right? We do have a guest. AZCM retired Courtney Barber, right? So we got Courtney here to kind of hang with us, and whatever we're gonna do today, we got some topics. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's a lot of stuff going on. We wouldn't normally start with a movie review, but let's get this out the way, man. Straw. Did you see Straw, Courtney?
Listen, I saw so many feedback reports through my social media feeds that I didn't even need to watch the movie because it seems like poor Taraji keeps playing these struggle roles, or we keep portraying Black women in these struggle roles, and I'm like, I'm good on that,
Taraji and Tyler Perry is the De Niro and Scorsese of Black women trauma.
Fam, what are you doing?
The De Niro and Scorsese of Black women trauma. Now, and I knew when he pressed the Taraji button, whenever he get that Taraji phone call, like, he know what he wants, right? I'm gonna let y'all. Hey, Tisha, take off with this topic, man. I'm gonna hang back for a little bit.
I'm just gonna say that I'm just kind of used to it with Tyler Perry. I've become like numb to it. I've gotten to the point where it's just like, okay, I already know what it's about to give. So if I'm in that mood, then I'll watch it. But if I'm not in that mood, if I don't, feel like I want to watch it, then I ain't gonna watch it. So I did watch it. I felt like it was, the typical, the norm. I felt like Taraji is a very strong actor. And I wish that he would give her more roles that kind of expand her talent, instead of always doing the struggling Black woman, But I feel like a lot of times Black women get in the entertainment industry get stuck in that role anyway. It's not a lot of them that where their roles they play somebody different. You're always going to see, what's her name? Viola Davis. You always gonna see her playing somebody strong. She got Woman King. She playing a damn president, and I forgot the name of the movie.
She's not on command too.
Right. And so they put different women in these categories, and unless they need that, that's what they're gonna go get. And so Tyler Perry has done a lot to help Black actors, and she's spoke a lot about how he has paid her the most. And I think that he should also expand her role, expand her talent so that she can get picked up by these other people and do other roles. So, but I mean, overall, it was a typical Tyler Perry movie. I was glad to see that Teyana Taylor said, "You ain't gonna mess up my wig. You ain't gonna have me in no crazy looking wig," because he be having some crazy looking wigs. He been getting better over the years. Teyana Taylor said no. She came out with the boss lady wig with the little flip.
I don't know.
No, that was a good wig. That was a good wig.
That was a good wig?
Think about the Shamar Moore back in the day. Think of Shamar Moore back in the day with the braids.
But the amount of volume, she had like a Jet Beauty of the Week wig on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Listen. When I go into work, Teyana Taylor's wig looked good, especially in comparison to Tyler Perry's wigs that he uses in previous years. He has gradually gotten better. Now, Teyana Taylor, she had, the front was good. The lace area, you couldn't see. It didn't look lacy. You know what I'm saying? And Aaron, you talking about the volume. Okay. Sometimes we get a 150 volume. Sometimes we going to go for the 250. That's going to give it a little bit more volume. It had a lot of bounce because when she was walking, it was bouncing. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that's just giving the dramatics that we need and that we're going for.
Teyana Taylor works out heavy and she got a strong neck so she could support all that weight on her head. That's why she's able to walk so hard, Yeah, but not to be on this wig. What's up? You talking about the movie?
No, she don't work out like that.
Yes, she does. Yes.
She don't work out
like that. Body goals. What are you talking about?
Yes.
She don't work out like that.
Yes, she does.
You seen that Kanye video? She's kept that up.
After the Kanye video, they interviewed her, right? And they asked her for her workout routine. And y'all think her answer was a workout routine?
I think she has a workout routine and she has some work done.
She said she dances. She said that's how she burned all her calories, by dancing. That's what spoken from Teyana Taylor herself. She said she does not work out, she dances. She probably works out a little bit, but I just want to correct the record a little bit.
Well, then let me start dancing then, because shit.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so that's it? That's what you thought about the movie, Tish?
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That it was good to see new faces though. I've never seen Sherry Shepherd in like a acting space. I think she did pretty good. Her name was supposed to be like Tyler Perry when he wrote it. Her name was supposed to be Henrietta or something like that. Like that, and that just lets you know like his mind frame. He's such an old soul. He is such an old soul. So
Henrietta. What you thought about it, man?
Y'all said it earlier. I think I applaud him for giving people work. He saw some actors that we know, at least some of us knew growing up, to a different world alumnus. He had Sinbad. He had Glenn Turman, I think his name, right?
Uh-huh.
But with Taraji, she shouldn't have to do these roles unless she wants to, because her resume, with Brad Pitt and Academy nominations, and it just shows how Hollywood is with actors, actresses, some women, some Black actresses. Like, you shouldn't have to do Netflix unless you want to get a quick, check. Like Jamie Foxx might bounce in between projects and do it. But yeah, I'm not a Tyler Perry fan, but I respect his studio, what he does.
Yeah.
I came in, like, the trauma was just like so heavy. She got evicted, shot at, a car accident, all in the span of 20 minutes.
Right.
And I'm like, when is it going to stop? And she got to work. He's like, you ain't getting no mother effing check? Are you serious? He's like a super villain in the face.
Yeah. Should he have given her that check, though?
If he was human, because if she been working all the time, right? It's like, yo, man, like, she, yeah. And
he had to check right there.
I didn't think nobody. I didn't think. I didn't think nobody was wrong, and I didn't think the landlord was wrong, and I didn't think her boss was wrong. Like,
but they see how, I don't want to say strung out, but they see how down and out she was. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they're not wrong logically, but emotionally, I'm like, damn. And then I just want to say one thing. Like, I think you said, Adamo, like, Taraji has the ugly cry market down. Like, she has that. Her and Kerry Washington have, like, the ugliest Hollywood cries. You know what I'm saying? They just be, Kerry be like, and then Taraji be like, I was hearing Jody again. Every time I see it, she cussing out Jody. I can't not see that. You know what I mean? But to wrap up my review, I think the audience who wanted to watch it, they're satisfied. He had some high points towards the back end of the movie, and the movie didn't end the way I thought it would. I was pleasantly surprised with that.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to end like that one movie by Nate Parker. Can't remember. It took over
with the cops and all that.
I thought he was going to get shot like that, but I'm glad that didn't happen. I think Tyler took the John Q playbook and just copied it. And like, hey, take this, But yeah, I think if I had to rate it, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay, so you close to IMDb. IMDb got it at 6.6 out of 10. When I checked Rotten Tomatoes, it was at a 44 by the critics, 74 by the audience, which is strong for that genre movie. 74 audience score. Taraji said she did it in 4 days. She said she did her part. So it's just, either the film was filmed in 4 days or she did her part in 4 days. She was working on a show Fight Night with Kevin Hart and that's what I heard her say. And the ensemble cast. I'm gonna say this. I like 6888. It had some flaws, some issues. I liked it. This movie I like, but it's some things I didn't like. I'm gonna get into it a little bit. The reason why I say that, because when 6888 came out, we had a clip about how they just made up a character, and people was mad at me. Yo, you should just be happy that, no, don't make up a character in the movie that's based off of real life. Just don't do that. But people was mad at me when I said it. The movie was successful, right? It did 25 million, 45 million hours of viewing. The second most successful movie in that tracking period was Now You See Me, which is from 2013. And this movie was number one globally as well. It was top 10 in 81 countries in the world. So, it's working. The formula is working. I got a question though, Aaron. You said that if you're not Taraji shouldn't be doing Netflix, or it should be something she kind of jumps into every now and then, right?
Yeah, because when she gave thanks to Tyler for, I don't know if it's the biggest payout she had for a role, but it's one of the biggest. And I'm just like, for somebody who's had the resume, she's had the body work, she's been working for over 20 years, right? And she did, what was it? Benjamin Button.
Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Yeah.
Benjamin Button. What was the one movie with Alicia Keys and Common? She's like an assassin.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, but she just had a lot of roles, man.
I know which one you're talking about, but I don't know the name of it. Smoking Aces?
Smoking Aces, right?
Oh, yeah.
We didn't got to talk about Smoking Aces, man.
You know, like, it's kind of like going back to like Monique. You know, like Monique had this great, she was building up this great resume, but it's the only time they want to give them an award is if they strung out. Halle Berry got an Oscar for, Monsters Ball, Husband on Death Row. The son is morbidly obese and he keep eating. They keep eating, don't they? You know, and then
I don't remember no part of it. I remember one scene from
Courtney know what I'm talking about. That's why she laughing.
Yeah. I remember one part of Monsters Ball, bro.
Teach No to made me feel good, baby.
That's the only scene I remember. But I got a question for you though, because like what you said about Netflix, like doing the stream. Because I don't want you to leave there because you going off into the award part and stuff. So you said. Like if she's not doing Netflix or like if an actor in today's time is not doing Netflix or streaming, what are they doing?
No,
the theater, like movies in the theater.
They should be fully faceted. Like their main thing, he probably got like 2 or 3, maybe 2 big projects. You know, from a what do you call it? Not a movie house, but a movie studio, right?
Like a theatrical release.
Like a theatrical release, or if you got one of those shows on a streaming service, like how Zoe will do Lioness, even though she got Marvel money, right?
Yeah, but
you could do, or Idris could do, he'll do a major movie, and then he'll do Luther, right?
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to do that. Like you should be like, let me get a quick check, let me go do this Netflix. Netflix is like Redbox / direct to VHS movies in 2025. That's how I view it.
I disagree, bro. So Eddie Murphy, is he a big actor or not a big actor?
He's an icon, but him doing Coming to America, the sequel, that was a check.
The last 5 movies he did came out on streaming. He ain't been in the theater since like
he don't need to. He living off Donkey Shrek money. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah. But basically, like, who's in the theater? Like, who is in it? Right. Like, who could get in the theater? Brad Pitt could get in the theater.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise could get in it, but Tom Cruise could sell a movie. Tom Cruise is going to jump. He's going to jump off the biggest building in France. He can sell a movie. Will Smith maybe still could get in it. DiCaprio could get in the theater, even though he don't make movies for box office, but it's DiCaprio. But it ain't too many people. Viola Davis' last movie came out on. Everything is on streaming, bro. That's why I'm confused.
I just feel like my opinion is they do the streaming services because to get a check and they can have fun with it.
Yeah,
they can really dive into it, but they're not trying to. It's kind of like, all right. So
you get more viewers on stream, right?
I think it's like if you look at author, they don't have a book, and they might write like an article or a piece. It's kind of like the full thing, but the bulk of the income might come from those major works. These other things should supplement. Here it is. A Netflix should supplement her income, not be a primary driver of her income. That's what I think.
And you're talking about like coexistence with theatrical releases, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and my argument, like Sinners came out in the theaters. I was surprised by that. It's Ryan Coogler, so I got a certain expectation, but nobody else could have made Sinners and it would have got a theatrical release. That shit would have came out on Paramount, Hulu, Netflix, or like most of the best of everything we watching now is coming out on streaming, bro. Like I haven't seen the last like romantic comedy came out in the theaters was like Sydney Sweeney and oh boy, but that was like a year and a half ago. Like it's not too many rom-coms in the theaters, not too many regular comedies in the theaters. The only thing seemed like they get in the theaters is these licensed
franchises,
franchise movies, like
John Wick 8 or something,
Lilo and Stitch. Like things that's been in existence. The theaters, to me, they ain't really. I seen one movie in the theaters, Sinners. I ain't seen much else in the theaters in a while, bro. But and I kind of want to see Ballerina.
we're coming off of COVID too. So COVID kind of started all of that, right? Because nobody was going to theaters. Theaters were shut down. We were in the house. And so it amped up everybody starting to get into this online streaming and downloading the movies and all of that. And that's how Netflix ended up picking up so many releases on Netflix. Because theaters shut down during COVID and we kind of still stuck in that mindset. Malls aren't popping like they used to be. Everybody's buying stuff online. Now this is like the result.
Yeah, I don't look at Netflix like community college. Like I look at it like a regular university at this point, bro.
Right.
All right, let me get into my let me get into my review. You know, when people in community, they gotta say they plan. Yeah, I'm in community, but I'm about to go to Temple.
I'm going.
It's cool. It's cool. You're a community. The movie for me was I from the previews, I already knew that it. So first off, I watched this movie because of Teyana Taylor. Because she about to go on a run. She got a movie coming out with DiCaprio. She got a movie coming out with Ben Affleck. She got another TV show coming out. Well, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. She got another. So she about to go on a run, and I want to witness it. I want to watch it. I want to see how she kind of maneuvers through that, especially coming off like the Shumpert thing and all that going into an album. So I've been a fan of Teyana for a while. So that's why I watched it. And then on top of that is Taraji, and I really support Taraji, right? Mm-hmm. But I knew that Tyler Perry, you know, he pulled out his Taraji signal. And so the previews, all I saw was the trauma. Like from the little clips in the preview, like, damn, trauma. The movie starts, man, from the moment she wake up, man, it's just trauma after trauma after trauma. So a couple unpopular opinions for me. I don't think the landlord was wrong. It was an eviction notice in her house, and the landlord told her, if you come back here without the money, I'm putting your stuff out, right? And then she came back. She did not have the money, and her stuff was outside. Like I just don't see
in the rain. By the way, in the rain. Don't forget
it was raining. It just so happened to be raining. Her boss, and I guess these people we could call them like assholes, right? Because they wasn't like empathetic to what she was going through. Her boss. She asked for the check. Like, yo, you don't get your check the day you get fired. Like, who does that? Like, he was like, yo, you fired. Well, can I at least get my check? Like, no. He said, when you get fired, your check get mailed to you. You know, that was my man Preach from Cooley High. You know? Yeah. He wasn't lying to her. He was telling the truth. But again, he could have been a little bit empathetic. Now, the cop dude, that was just crazy, right? So yeah. So now we in this movie, right? We watching this movie. It's trauma on trauma on trauma. I watched the movie twice. The first day I watched it, I think it was like 23 minutes in or something when it was either 23 or 33. I remember because I like shut down. It was one of them. But when she got evicted and she just yelled, like she just hollered like 3 times, like, ah. Yeah. And I looked at Angelina and I said, yo, check it out, man. I'm done. I can't watch this. Yeah, right. See, she was like all in the middle.
She was crying with her whole face.
Yeah, like how do you even tell?
The aerial view, right. The rain coming down.
He zoomed out. He got a drone to film that shit.
Yeah, he had her Ray J crying in the rain.
How do you even, and then the rain, I heard the rain was fake. But how do you even like ask somebody to do some shit like that? Like, and it's only a few people that could do that. And that's why I give Taraji her props. Yeah. Taraji is amongst the few that can do that. But why would you ever ask for somebody to do that shit? So I checked out. I fell asleep. The next day, Angelina, she wanted her mom to watch it. So she's like, hey, put it back on. And I wanted to watch it just to see like, you know, their response and with me. And she was saying it was a twist to it. You know, I'm like, a twist? What is this, like Saw 9 or something? Like a twist to a Tyler Perry movie? I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. So I watch it. I get past that crazy part, and then just more stuff happened. I was getting pissed off at Taraji waving a gun at the bank and wondering why people were scared. Like, what are you scared about? Because you waved a gun at me. You know, right? They said it was a fake Megan Good in the movie.
Instead of fake Megan Good?
Yeah, they said the bank teller was like the fake Megan Good.
Oh, yeah.
So then though, let me give a highlight because Taraji went on like a 12-minute monologue that was probably one of the best like acting performances I've ever seen in a Tyler Perry movie, period. When she went on and she was explaining her situation, like how she got where she got and all this stuff and what happened. And it didn't even show her that much. It showed like people listening to her, but her voice, the way it carried, her presence was, to me, amazing. Like, she destroyed that. Why are you shaking your head, man?
No, good, bro. I'll tell you, man.
That 12-minute monologue is the highlight of the movie. That's the best part of that movie. When she went on that monologue, it's no better part.
That's Tyler, man. That's like, what was the movie where Cicely Tyson came out? It's like, come up there and stand up. I'm like, man.
no, but that was good though. That was good. That was like some Dog Day Afternoon type. So that was great. And then it's a twist in the movie, and I really don't want to spoil it.
Spoil it. Bump that. Yeah, I didn't know the daughter was dead.
Don't be.
Yes, but thanks, Aaron. She doing all this for her daughter because she need to get medicine to her daughter. No, she need to get the right food to her daughter because her daughter had seizures and all this shit. She doing all this for the daughter, and the daughter was never alive. She had a nervous breakdown. Her daughter was never alive, and that part, like, that surprise did shock me. And then when they did the flashback and they show her acting like as if she had the daughter, like that part hit me. She did a great job there. And people go through that. Like, some people deal with that, like not getting over their people. Like, growing up, my mom had a friend and her daughters went to the neighbor's house, the next door neighbor's house, for like a sleepover. The house catches on fire. The daughters pass away in a fire. I think one or two of the neighbors actually got out. But the daughters passed away in a fire. And the lady was still at the table. Like, she would still live her life as if she had her daughters at in her house. So, like, some people have like that nervous breakdown like that.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a show called, y'all ever saw Servant on Apple? No. Y'all never saw that? The lady, she like, and I guess they do this too. And I can't speak to it, but I guess sometimes people do this to help you cope. So on Servant, the lady lost her baby in the car. Like, she left the car. She came home. She's like a news reporter. She came home one day and she like left the car and didn't get the baby out the car. It was like hot and the baby died in the car. Baby overheated in the car. She had a nervous breakdown, I think, from like that moment. So I guess the doctors like prescribed that she get a doll and wean off of like the thought about the baby. So she thought the doll was her baby. Now, this is an M. Night Shyamalan show, so it's like...
Okay, so it's curveballs are coming from everywhere.
Yeah, it's curveballs, like the actual doll becomes a real baby. It's a lot of curveballs and stuff like that, but so people do go through stuff like that. Oh, I get a movie like a 3 out of 5, though. I thought it ended well. I thought Taraji did amazing, and I thought it was a good effort from Tyler Perry. One of his best movies to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of his best ones. And I think so you were talking about the monologue, right? So you were talking about the monologue, right? If you look at Tyler Perry's history, he came from stage plays. In stage plays, there's always monologue. So I think he's just sticking true to his roots.
Yeah. Then the previews for Medea's Vacation Wedding came out too, and I
saw that.
I'm ready for it, man.
He's making another Medea movie.
Yeah,
I didn't even know he was still making.
I thought Medea went to jail.
She came out.
She did. She went to jail. She got out. Goodness. She went to a reunion. She went to.
He was in two Halloween movies. Medea need to go to space, bro.
I think there should be a Medea Michael Myers crossover because they don't die. So
they about the same height, same weight, same build. They got Medea and Michael Myers got the same physical physique, bro.
Yeah, they should do a crossover.
That's an even match. Hey, congratulations to James Sandifer, Mayor James Sandifer. Congratulations, man. What am I doing? Well, I'm never good with this stuff, man.
I was working
with this stuff, man. So we had Lumberton, Mississippi mayor. We had James on a podcast that came out a week before the mayoral election, and he got it. He got it by a landslide, man.
Wow.
Bust them old. Now I can talk what I want. He bust them old other candidates' asses, bro. He bust you. He got y'all, yo. He got y'all. If we still got some overlay people listening from Lumberton, he got them, yo. He got them dudes been sitting in them seats for 12 years, not doing nothing, corruption, getting their friends and their family members in. Go make some changes up in that joint, James. I love to see it. And he should be swearing in this week. He should be swearing in on Wednesday. Something like that.
Nice.
So, he hit me up when I was in New Orleans so I could go to Cuevas. Actually, it was just, it's an hour and a half away. My wife had things she had going on with work. So I didn't want that whole kind of experience while we were doing that with work for him to come up and then us take an hour and a half trip, go eat, and then had to come back for an hour and a half. It's just going to take a lot of time out of whatever we had going on. So I couldn't do it, but I'm super happy for him. And I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but we did do New Orleans for the anniversary. And it's been on my bucket list for places to go in America. That's the first time I went. You know, you go places and people are like, yo, did you go see the alligators? Did you? No, I didn't go see no alligators. What? I went to restaurants. I ate. Right. I went to New Orleans to eat food. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's funny, Tish. I took a picture of it was like beans and rice, right? And I posted the picture of beans and rice, and I said, "Where am I?" Yo, all I did was post a picture of beans and rice and say, "Where am I?"
Red beans and rice, right?
Yeah, red beans and rice.
You gotta say that, man. New Orleans, you can't say beans and rice, man.
Yeah, red beans. It's, I think on the menu though, it didn't say red. It just said, but when I posted it, Ashley, and all I wanted was somebody to be like, "You in New Orleans?" I could tell. Ashley, who been on this podcast a couple of times, she says Mondays. She names the restaurant, yo. I'm like, how you got that restaurant? I was like, how do you know the restaurant, yo? She was like, I went there 5 times when I was in New Orleans. I was like, okay. Yeah, she knew the plate. Gee, I was like, But yeah, so New Orleans was a great time. I'm going back. You know, we going back. We ain't spent too much time on Bourbon Street. I think we went to Bourbon Street every day, but we didn't. We even like went to a club. We did all that stuff. We went to a strip club. We went to a club. We did everything you could do, but we just didn't stay on Bourbon Street for too much of the time. We went different places. Plus, it was a work trip. Plus, the weather was horrible. But New Orleans was on point though. I like it out there.
Should go back for Battle of the Bands. That's time to go there.
I'm down for what type of bands though?
HBC was Gramblins. It's a Grambling Southern game. Then you got the Battle of the Bands.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that. I thought it was like a dueling piano type of thing. And I was
no. This is like he's going off. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I bet that's crazy.
Okay, all right. What
during that time frame? I went to New Orleans
what's up?
way back when. I think it was like 2009 or something. But I went for work. We had a trial down there, and so I went for that. We ended up winning with a motion before we even went in. So we never actually went to court. So it was just like a free vacation. And so we went down to Bourbon Street, and our client was there. And he was like, "Oh, I owe you my life. I owe you drinks." So we met up with him at at one of the bars. He bought us a drink or whatever. But those drinks are so much stronger than any other place in the United States of America. And so, man, it was one of those moments where I still remember it from this day. Like I don't think, and I was like still young in the Navy, so like I didn't really drink all that much. I was legally able to drink, but I just wasn't like a heavy drinker like that. Yeah. And so, my body wasn't used to that. And so I don't know how I got back to my hotel room. And then the next morning I took the train to Georgia, home to Georgia. My mom picks me up from the train station in Atlanta. And my mom is one of those like very like, this is my baby, you know? So instead of her just being in the train station somewhere waiting for me, I get off the train. She is right there. This is the most miserable train ride I've ever been on because I still got a hangover. I get off the train and I immediately throw up. I look up and my mom is standing right there. And I'm just like,
wow.
Like, Mom, what you doing here?
Hurricane Dad got you.
Yes. Actually, it started with the hurricanes. I think I had like 2 hurricanes before we went to the bar. And they were so good, like that you don't really taste it, but it punches you in the face once it does hit you. It was, I ain't been in New Orleans.
Those are drinks you stay away from.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Courtney,
I thought it like,
yeah. I was down there for July 4th. Tiff had a work trip down there from inspections, and went down there for July 4th, and I went to Bourbon Street, and let me tell you, got smoked out every which way. Couldn't go in nobody's store because all you smelled was just, the plants of the earth just coming out everywhere. And I was like, I'm still in. I don't want no secondhand contact now. I'm still trying to live right until I get to this retirement. Just let me pass. But no, it was good. We took a tour. We had a tour bus to take a tour of, New Orleans and the homes and the cemeteries and all of that. I do want to go back because I love paranormal things, and they have like the ghost tours and all of that. Like, I really want to go down and take one of those tours, like at nighttime, and see what happens.
Yeah,
I like the fake ghost tours. I can't do the real ones.
I like it.
Oh, you ain't been back since Katrina, bro?
Nah, man. I mean, because, I remember I grew up there, then I went to high school back in New York, but my mom, she retired. She sold her little flat in Brooklyn, and then she went to New Orleans, got her little bachelorette pad, and then Katrina came like 4 months later and wiped her out. So, moved her out, but like pretty much everything from my childhood is like gone, except for her vinyls and a bunch of pictures. And, I got a lot of my friends who grew up there, like a lot of transplant, they just leave New Orleans, they don't come back. They're still trying to come back. You're talking 20 years later, know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back, but it's just, kind of like the emotional pull, But yeah, I want to go back, get some real pralines, hit Canal Street, Riverwalk, everything. But yeah, it's fun to grow up there. You see some stuff like when Mardi Gras is a regular thing for you growing up, you get desensitized to seeing drunk people.
Yeah.
So
what is that? Like second line too? The second line? Like, is this called right? Second line?
Mm-hmm. Second line, all that.
I saw one of them second lines.
Go to Zulu Parade, Bacchus, all that.
It was like a second line at an old folks home. That Jane was kind of funny, actually. Like, the one old lady, she was like, they about to walk around the whole park. She was like, I'm going back. It was hot out there too, boy. It's finally getting hot out here. It's hot as hell out here, y'all. Like, damn. I know Aaron, like 90.
Oh, it's going to be a hot weekend in D.C. for sure, especially with tanks and everything out there. You know what I'm saying? Happy birthday, Army.
It's the Army birthday. Well, whenever people listen, it's going to be after, but it's the 250th Army birthday this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Today, actually, it's Saturday today we recording, so it's the 250th Army birthday. So it's going to be a lot going on, a lot of like stuff blocked off, a lot of festivities going on and stuff like that. So
festivities, huh?
It's the Army birthday. It's a lot of fucking festivities, man. like I got an email.
Talking about all the,
Yeah, I mean, Eric getting at some other stuff, but I got an email.
Man.
I got an email talking about the festivities, bro. Like, at this time is going to be this happening. At this time is whatever Aaron. I don't know, bro. I know the festivities.
The Army put out a whole schedule of events.
Festivities.
Yeah, right? That whole SOE.
Yeah, AKA festivities, right?
Yeah, and then it's going to be great. It's going to be huge.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Courtney know what I'm talking about, man.
Here we go.
Yeah, you said the parade is a capstone event. What about it? What's going on with the Army thing?
I'll say this. I wrote it down. The thing that's jumping out to me is there's a report saying that it's going to cost approximately $16 million to fix the roads after the parade route because the tanks and the roads are not meant to support the weight of tanks for that duration of time. And then us living up here, you already know, you could drive in DC, you get these random tickets all the time for them freaking cameras. So I imagine those prices are going to get skyrocketed up to fix the streets. So I think it's crazy that I know they planned this for years for the 250th, but Right. To know, hey, you about to come off of $16 million in repairs to fix the roads for a parade. You know, maybe Doe should have hollered at that first too, you know?
I mean, how would you celebrate the 250th birthday of the Army? Little ballroom joint?
Nah, maybe, yeah, like the tanks. You gotta do the tanks and all that, but you can't have like all the tanks. As long as we ain't looking like, be careful, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, you passed that point.
Ask the retirees.
Already.
Ask the retirees. Courtney, Tisha, what do you think about? How would you celebrate the Army? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you can still do a acknowledgement of... Let people take a tour of it. But I mean, you can still celebrate, acknowledge the fact that it's been 250 years. They're the oldest, branch that we have. And much respect, but to want to preside over something as though, you're in a whole other country because that's what they do. To me, that's just really showing. We're complaining about spending money and we're trying to find where we're spending, reckless dollars. But yeah, we're spending $40 million on this parade. $40 million. We're paying for this right now. So, they're going to get their money somehow, some way. Like I said, maybe Doge are looking into that too. But, I digress.
Doge ain't looking into shit. My man, Elon got about it. Elon got about it. This ain't a political pod, but Elon ain't quick. No more. He got about it.
We knew that relationship was going to last, but, it is.
But see me
they
trying
broke
to jump
up
in
real
quick
bad.
for y'all say crazy shit. The Army birthday, the recovery process of it, it's just like having a party at your crib. Like, you got to clean up after, right?
Yeah, but if I go to your house, I'm not paying for your cleaner fees, man.
I mean, that's
estimated. So of course it's gonna be like
and I ain't even coming to the house.
Late.
It's 16 million. 16 million. Yeah. Not 60. So I mean, but it's the Army's 250th. The Navy about to celebrate our 250th in New York.
I'm feeling bad.
And what we gonna do?
This. We'll be researching.
We gonna run a carrier. We gonna run a carrier down Madison Square, bro. We gonna put a carrier on wheels and run that bitch down Madison Square, bro.
Not in New York. They barely survive us during Fleet Week, man.
They'll set you up and see an anchor on that joint, like we crossing the straits, bro. Yeah. You gonna be manning the rails out that joint, bro. We about to celebrate it's our 250th this year too. So I think America has of course, every year it's a birthday, but I think we're gonna celebrate, like, America got a pivotal birthday, I think, this year too. I might not. That's why I said that's why we ain't a political pod, man. I'm not a historian, man. I don't know what.
Well, you talking about celebrating things. You put a note. Vice Admiral Cheeseman, he retired.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to him too. He's dope. He dope, man. We mentioned him on a pod once. He had smoke for somebody on social media. Somebody said something on social media.
He'll go back and forth all day long on social media.
Yeah, he hit them with some smoke, but. He actually, one day I reached out because it was a nav admin. And this when I was kind of younger and like still needed to learn things. But I reached out to the name on the nav admin because I had a question. And it was actually about COVID. It wasn't that long ago, y'all. But it was about COVID. And I hit him up and he responded, and whatever I said, it was a good point. And, things were done after that. And then I had a chance we talked about him on a pod. Of course, we had, some fun stuff to say. And then I saw him when I was at CMC Academy or SEA, one of them. Mm-hmm. I saw him and he was amazing. I was like, he had that whole New Jersey vibe, like just real, keep it real, honest, all that. Like, he was dope. Like, Admiral Cheeseman was amazing. So shout out to him and his career, yo.
Courtney, didn't you work with him doing my Navy coaching and stuff like that?
I did, and then he was my wife's CO when she was on the USS Monterey. When he was the over there, and he got it. They worked together, and so the first time when you talking about down to earth, with me doing my Navy coaching, I traveled with the team doing career development symposiums, and we were here in Oceana doing a CDS, and he was here, and I didn't know at the time that he was my wife's CO when they were on the Monterey. And so we had took a picture together and I sent it to her and she's like, "Oh, that's Ricky Cheese." And I said, "Who in the world is Ricky Cheese?" Like, that's what she got, Ricky Cheese. And I was like, "Who was that?" She said, "Tell him I said, what's up?" And I was like, I'm not about to go tell that man, that Admiral, that you said, what's up? Like what? No. And so eventually I was like, let me just go see what's up. So I was like, hey, sir, I think you know my wife. She wanted me to tell you hello. And he looked at my name and he said, Tiff. He was like, fuck yeah, tell her I said hey. And I said, oh, that's the vibe we on.
Yeah.
I said, I like him. I like him. So every time I would do, my Navy coaching or we were traveling together, it was great family, like a cookout vibes. Like I love Admiral Cheeseman. He is the coolest cat because he keeps it down to earth. Even with the CDS, you have the town halls, right? With the E6 and below, and then we would do a Chiefs Mess town hall. And he would come in and talk to the E6 and below and just ask, hey, what's hurting your head? What do you need? What are you not getting? And he would, no kidding, have people taking it down. We're going to address it. He goes, I want to hear what the problems are so we can fix it. And the sailors respected the crap out of him for that. Because you don't get that a lot from, people in the Crystal Palace. You don't get that a lot. But my hat's off to him. I hope he enjoys his retirement because it is great on this side. Not having to really worry about nothing anymore. I can just scroll past stuff and you see stuff you don't want to deal with. But yeah, he was definitely a good guy.
I think sometimes it'd be unfortunate for like not everybody to like see that, right. Like not everybody got to see Admiral Cheeseman in action, and like some of these sellers didn't get to see like that down to earth Admiral. Mostly every Admiral I know is like super cool, but like not everybody gets to even see that. Like mostly every Admiral would be like super cool, but like, man, I wish I could have experienced like just being in rooms or hearing from him a little bit more than I did. Like it was only like one time, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just seeing him, seeing his name at the bottom of every nav admin, of course.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so definitely. Now you just did bring up something though. You brought up being retired and, able to scroll past some stuff. And I know we had a story, the Navy had a story last week that I think it was hard for anybody to scroll. Well, it was pretty much the last 2 weeks. And I think it was hard for any of us to scroll past very recently. And the reason, and we talking about CSS and Angelina Resendiz from Texas. And what kind of, for me, what touched me like immediately when I kind of got the report that she was missing was it reminded me so much of Vanessa Guillen. It just reminded me so much of what we had just went through with Vanessa Guillen. And I think that's what like stuck to people so fast. Like, especially like even with how the family is like fighting, you know what I mean? Like making sure that, their voices are heard and making sure that their daughter, their sister, their friend just did not just kind of go in the clear without nobody figuring anything out. So before we start, I want to give my condolences to the Resendiz family. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. I apologize if I'm not. But I want to give my condolences to that whole family, all her friends, all her real friends on the ship, her mother, her sister, that, just the whole family, and just gone way too soon and not too far from being a civilian. Like she was a seaman, so she hadn't been in the Navy for too long. So some stats real quick is, 21 years old, 5 feet tall. She weighed 110 pounds. She was stationed in Norfolk on a James E. Williams, that's a DDG 95. And before I shut up for a second, it's bittersweet, right? But when these things happen, I'm always kind of happy to hear that the person was somebody that, like, in her case, for instance, she talked to her family every day. Her mom said, hey, she talked to somebody from the family every day. Her and her sister was on a 400-day Snapchat streak. They had not been out of contact in the last 400 days. So the first day that the streak was snapped, they knew something was wrong, right? And I say it's bittersweet because it's bitter, like may she rest well and all that. But it's just so good to know that she had that routine with her family, that the moment that shit broke, they knew something was wrong. You know what I mean? And it was kind of, again, it related to Vanessa Guillen. Like they, so it's just man, it's just unfortunate. And I'm at a loss for words on some of this topic, but it's definitely unfortunate, y'all.
Yeah.
It is. One of my friends came over to the house the other day. But when you scroll through social media and you see the impact that she had on sailors in the fleet, officers, enlisted, whoever, retired, active, didn't matter. Everybody was upset. Everybody was hurt. And we didn't know her. But we knew her, but we didn't know her. She was like our child, our sister, our best friend. And one of our friends came over a couple of nights ago. It was about almost 7. I go to bed I be to bed early, y'all. I'm the old soul. And so when she came over, we thought something was wrong, and she just broke down crying. And we're like, what's going on? What's wrong? Like, who we need to go fight? Ride up on. And she was just like, I was just reading the article of everything, and it just took a toll on her. And I said, did you know her? And she was like, I didn't know her. And I'm just like, oh, wow. Okay. So, but it's like she had that impact across everywhere, just the world. Like it was crazy. And the one thing that, our friend, she's a chief in the Navy as well. And she said, what do I tell my sailors? How can I protect my sailors to ensure this doesn't happen? Right. And I think a lot of us are, even me, being an instructor or teacher for a high school, we're never going to be zero defect. And I told her, everything that you're doing right now, having conversations with those, that you're leading, ensuring they understand your standards and expectations, making sure you're building some kind of connection with your sailors so that they are looking after each other more, because sailors feed off of energy. When you have a moment in time, pull out from behind your computer. I said 30 minutes before chow, hey, I want to talk to everybody. Come in here. We're going to have a conversation and ask them, hey, have y'all been following what's been going on with this sailor from the James E. Williams? How do you feel about it? What would you do to try to prevent or make sure that you're good? Start having open, candid conversations with your sailors to see their mindset, to see what they're thinking, to kind of get that feedback from them, to kind of learn. And it builds like a sense of community, a trust foundation, so that, at least they can check on each other as well. So if something is not right, hey, let me go over here and swing by the barracks real fast. Let me figure out what's going on. Just to kind of have that, because sometimes, as leaders, we do what we can, but they're not under us 24/7. When they're not with us, we don't know what's going on. And it's just sad, because then we get blamed. The Navy gets blamed. And it's like, what more could we have done?
Yeah. And this a portion of this I do want to get into later about this whole thing in social media and the demand for information from people and all that. I want to say that, of course, we get these like DMs. We get people that reach out to us, PTSF, to share stuff and stuff like that. So So she was reported missing on Thursday, May 29th. They said they last seen her in her barracks around 1000. It was a critical missing alert. NCIS put it in. And she lived in Miller Hall. And like you just said, Courtney, like, I think it touched everybody, because it's almost like, we in the military, they say the Chiefs mess is a fraternity and all that, but it's almost like a fraternity as well. Like just being in the Navy, like we all have the same shared experience. I lived in Miller Hall. I know exactly where, Miller Hall is. That's where, and I was just living in the barracks in Norfolk. I was just living in the barracks like a year and a half ago. I was just living out there. You know what I mean? So all of that stuff you get, because I was geobashing. So all of that stuff you get connected with, and but I'm gonna shut up, because I know we kind of talking about this, and I know Aaron and Tisha might have some thoughts too.
I was thinking about what Frank said last episode, where we said, he said point blank, he would not want his daughter in the military or in the Navy.
Yeah.
Looking at my timeline, one of my former sailors, she made a post and she said, there is nowhere safe for a woman in the military. And I'm like,
that's a strong statement.
Right? Am I going to tell her she's wrong? And then for me as a dad, because now I'm at the point with my kids, I have 2 older kids now. And my daughter is 20. Moses is 20. And I have a friend, he has 2 kids in the Navy, and one of his daughters, she's the same age as, as her. And it's like, damn, how many weird DM pictures they get, how many, like, if you go out, like, I know, Courtney, you talked about how when you went out with your brothers, talking about your brothers in uniform, you felt safe. Is that still a thing? If a woman goes out, with Liberty buddies, and it's like, because they say they apprehended another sailor as a suspect, So that's like you're supposed to have this trust, man. Like I'll say, it's like every NDOC I go to, and the CO will say, hey, report this, say this, your resources, supposed to be safe. And he says, see what you got. And, Courtney says, I hug with thorns. I go blunt. I don't like creeps. Don't be no freaking stalker. That's your sister. That's your people. That's not your, but does that fall on deaf ears? It just makes me think about that, man. Is it safe for our people who are women to be, in the military?
I mean, so just predatory behavior, right? So like a lot of times, like guys, it be like inbred in it has been inbred in our culture to have predatory behavior. I remember being a junior sailor on a ship, and dudes, they used to share, like emails. They used to share like pictures of like women, and through the email, back in the day, like, yo, it's her. Or we be on like the computer and like central control station and Googling celebrities, just like before the Instagram days where you could just, look at like an Instagram model. So like we've always had like, and then like, so you get a brand new sailor check in, a new young lady that check into the command, and like dudes be on her from the moment she get there. It's like every woman that's a mentee of mine, I always tell them like, yo, when when you check onto that ship, please protect yourself, because dudes, it gets very predatory. And somebody might be listening and mad, but I'm just going off an experiences I had. Like it get very predatory for that young lady that's checking onto the ship. I mean, especially if she's like abnormally attractive or something like that. It's going to be dudes on her hard. And I'm just going from my remembrance as a young sailor, but even then, I remember it being khakis on some of them young women too.
Those be the TikToks you see. How many times they take the sinners thing? I thought you loved me. Well, then you stuck. You remember that clip? That's crazy.
So that's a big. You kind of brought it up, so and I just wanted to connect there. So because we used to talk about Tisha, like we had mad like guests, and we asked that question a lot. Like, yo, would you let your daughter join? Would you want your daughter to join the military? I mean, I wouldn't want my daughter to join the military. You know what I'm saying? Like for a lot of reasons. But and some of those reasons are some of it too. Like it's just like you have to be protected. Like it's hard. I just got a mentee. My mentee is a young lady. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I wanted to like invite her to like one of our little workout things, but I don't want the young boys from my command acting all crazy. You know what I mean? Like, no, leave her alone. That's my mentee, man. So right. It's just hard. But Tish, you've been processing this story too, right?
Right. And I always look at it from like, I'm a legal man at heart. So I'm always looking at, first off, I'm going to say this. When the whole Vanessa Guillen thing happened, in my mind, I was like, the Navy would never, you know what I'm saying? So when this happened, it was a whole slap in the face. Like, I was just like, damn, it's us this time. Like, what? And so that part hurt, that this is an organization that I'm part of and we ain't looking good right now. Like, damn. But coming from a legal man perspective and talking about are women safe, I think that overall, we're relatively safe. However, there are a lot of cases that proves that we're not always safe. And you're talking about the predatory behavior. And it's like, I've seen it firsthand. You go on Liberty and I forgot where I was, maybe Australia or something. And I saw this girl who was like very drunk. You could tell like she was barely coherent, being held up. And it was a guy holding her up. I didn't know her. I didn't know him because I was embarked on the ship. I didn't know if that was her boyfriend, whatever. I didn't know anything. All I saw was a man holding her up. I think he had a drink in her hand, kind of giving it to her, trying to lead her out the door. And I was like, nah. And so I got her away from him and with her friends or whatever. And I was like, protect her, take her back to the ship or whatever. But like, who knows what he was trying to do? And I read a lot of cases where dudes are like feeding, you know, these sailors, especially when they're junior sailors, they just started drinking.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they're feeding them these drinks and you know, and then trying to play the nice guy. Oh, let me take you back. Let me, you know, I'm going to take care of you. I've seen a number of cases like that where a guy is trying to take care of their shipmate, trying to pretend like they are, but really they go back and they take advantage of them because they know they're too drunk. And so, in that case, it's like, you know, they know what they're doing. And because they're putting on this, oh, I'm going to take care of her, I'm going to take her back. Everybody thinks, okay, he's taking care of her, you know, and send her away into the wrong hands. And Aaron, I see you. Go ahead, Aaron. Was that do you disagree? No, I saw you shaking your head.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
He ain't disagree.
I agree with you completely. I'm just thinking about the ripple effect because I'm thinking about as a CMC, right? Or hey, we pulling into port, liberty policy, liberty buddies are in effect, all this. Mm-hmm. There was a time where they said you can only have same sex liberty buddies and open liberty. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then we're like, hold up, let's go with the times. It doesn't matter. You're thinking as if everyone is of one preference or lifestyle, right?
Hey, can you stop right there for 1 second?
Yeah.
Right. All right. Like, so on the ground level, right? Okay. You can only have same-sex liberty buddies. Okay. All right. You and your homegirls. Yeah. I know. But okay. You and your homegirls get your liberty group. Me and my homeboys, we go get our liberty group. Y'all go to this hotel. We go to this hotel and we gonna switch rooms while we on liberty.
Yes. That's why it was important to have that anyways. They were it in anyways, regardless. They were doing that. Like,
I'm just thinking about now, what if you do have the good guys? Not even just saying good guys, just a decent person who's not a freaking creep who's like, I'm gonna take care of you. But now you can't tell her or him, but really her, she's wrong. Right. If it's LN2 and OS2 and you see me with somebody who's drunk, I'm trying to get them back. Yeah. Are you going to be like, oh man, I know Aaron, he's good. Or is it like, nah, I don't put him past nobody. Yeah. All right, you good, get away. It's like, you got women predators. A predator is a predator. You know
it's a rough time. We in a different time. It's just a rough time, bro. Like I be careful now whose story I look at on social media.
Yeah, I ain't like anything.
People start. Oh no, I ain't like it. But all right, so let's get into some. It's a few different ways I want this kind of conversation to go, but I want to get to some facts real quick. So that missing adult, that critically missing adult alert I talked about, that was issued from NCIS. It came out at 9:38 on Tuesday. So she was reported missing on Thursday, the 29th. The critically missing alert came out, I think it was the Tuesday after. Her mom reached out on Wednesday, that was the 4th of June, and she flew to Norfolk on Thursday, the 5th of June from Harlingen, Texas, to try to figure out like what was going on. She goes to the barracks and she finds her daughter's belongings in a state that indicated that she was coming back. Like it didn't look like she was gone and like leaving or going UA or not. Like it just looked like she was coming back. Her fan was still on. She had a yoga mat out. She had food, and her daughter hadn't spent any money since the day she went missing. Like Courtney said, social media got behind this heavy, real heavy, and the impact from social media was, to me, amazing. One of the things the family said was they never got notifications from. So I'm gonna run through this, but then some of this I want to come back to. So family never got notifications from official channels. I want to come back to that. Her friends filed a missing persons report. The commander wouldn't. I want to come back to that. Mom said she called the ship and spoke to, she said officer on deck. And whoever, I'm thinking it was the OD, messenger to wives, something like that. But whoever that person was, they said they found her daughter and her daughter was on a ship. I want to get back to that. All of that stuff about reporting and handling somebody being missing, I want to get back to that because I think it's a expectation that like civilians have that about Navy, and I don't think that they know. Like, I'm almost sure if you call that messenger to watch, they don't know shit that's going on, like on a ship at all. And it's some young sailor that just don't really know what's going on. But I want to get back to that because I want to clarify some of that because when these reports come out, like people had these expectations about them. Like somebody was saying, it's cameras everywhere. No, I don't want to get too crazy because our adversaries are listeners, but it ain't, cameras everywhere. So her mom, is it Esmeralda Castle? She's going to challenge the way in which families are notified in these types of events, which I understand that, and I agree. So the quote is she's addressing systemic issues that allow her daughter to vanish without justice since May 29th. She called on Virginia Senator Mark Warner, Tim Kaine, Hampton Roads congressional delegation, and President Trump. And then she also said, like Aaron just touched on, that she believes she know who may have killed her daughter. It was a guy that she was with on Thursday that showed up on Monday and she didn't. Family created a GoFundMe. The GoFundMe is titled Support Esmeralda's Search for Angie Resendiz. And as of yesterday, when I look, it was at $13,104K, which is $3K short of the $16,000 goal. So, I mean, that's good on, everybody that's donating to that. And then her body, like Aaron said, was found in a wooded area in Norfolk near Broad Creek neighborhood on Monday the 9th behind an elementary school. That stuck out to me.
That's not too far from me.
Yeah, and then residents reported they saw. It was... No, the last thing is, again, it was civilians that kind of people, social media that got this out before official sources.
Right.
So, what was you saying, Aaron?
Well, Tisha said, what would be, so the mother, Esmeralda, she's going to challenge the status of the way that families are notified in a situation like this.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how that looks.
All right, let's walk it. Let's walk it down.
Because, all right, person's missing on a muster report. Boom, they go.
Your person, you the chief. You the LCPO of the division. Right, your person don't show up to muster.
Hey, they log them as UA. After X amount of time, you call in CMC. Hey, this person's missing from muster, unaccounted for. Have them respond to the recall. Hey,
would you call
again?
Is that your process, Aaron? I'm sorry to cut you off, but is that your process? If you
I'm just thinking how it's been received to me. Like, yeah, hey, X amount of time, mark him UA, call again the recall, no answer, you send someone to the home.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, y'all going to that barracks room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, barracks room
But I'm going to that barracks room before I call the CMC, though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, before it gets up, you're going to exhaust on means. But I've seen it where they got text, hey, man, person's UA, we're sending always two people to go knock on the door. But the thing I'm thinking about is, what about the person who intentionally goes UA who don't want to be found?
Both can. I think the issue is that in this situation, it's almost like that was what was assumed, is that she went UA on her own. And that's kind of how the policy kind of is. So if you look at the UA policy, when someone goes missing, you mark them UA, you go to the barracks room, you check local hospitals to see if they're in the hospital, you check the jails to see if they if they're in jail. You look to see if there's any evidence that maybe there's some type of foul play. With her room was intact. It looked like she was going to come back, like you said. Your sailor, a sailor just don't go UA. There's usually problems that happen before that, why they went UA. But
some of them are like, I'm tired of this. I want to get out and just go.
Can we do one thing real quick before we dive too deep into the process part?
Yeah.
Anybody got any last kind of words of grace for the family? Because we're about to say some shit that I think some people might agree with, some people might not agree with. Mm-hmm. It's going to be different. Anybody got any last words of grace that they want to say to the family before we close that out? And other sellers that might be just kind of struggling right now?
The support is always there. Someone will always pick up the phone. Someone will always listen. Sometimes we go through the motions thinking that, I don't want to talk to somebody from the sprint team, or I don't want to talk to the chaplain. This is just a check in the box. It's not. When those resources are there, please use them. They matter. They help. Speaking from experience. So for the family, we do take care of our own. We're there for you. And then for us in uniform, someone will always answer the phone. Someone will always be there to listen. And there's no wrong time to reach out for help.
Yeah, we lost a beautiful soul, I think, way too early. And just looking at her pictures, it's just, you could just tell this girl had a beautiful, I don't know, like I just got a feeling that she was a really good girl with a beautiful spirit. So like, again, man, rest well.
It's very,
and we got to watch.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And I can only imagine the pain that the family is going through. I can only imagine sending your child away to think that she's going to, create a better life for herself. And shortly thereafter, she's taken away in such a egregious way. And so, it's like no words can really heal that when it's your child. So to the mother, she's in my prayers. The family, you're in my prayers. And to all of those sailors that were affected, whether you knew her or not, even if you didn't know her, it's okay to feel some type of way. And as far as the resources that Aaron is talking about, you don't have to know somebody personally to need to go seek those resources. Like those resources, when he says they're for everybody, they're absolutely for everybody, whether you knew her or not. And as like Courtney talked about, a chief that doesn't even know her was in tears. I found myself like heavy scrolling through, getting reports, like just kind of want to answer. So, it's okay to need those resources. It's okay to, talk to your chain of command and be honest about how you feel. And so, yeah, much blessings to the family, and we'll always remember her.
And I'll just say that, of course, condolences to family, to friends, people that knew her, who didn't know her. But for everyone, first, the people that knew her and the family, grieve the way it is meant for you to grieve. Whatever that grieving may look like, it is definitely okay. That is my first thing. It is a process. It's a healing process. You're going to go through the different emotions, the anger, the hatred, the happiness of having, her in your life, but understand and be aware of your emotions. Understand and be aware that you want closure and justice now. So the easiest thing for people to do when they're looking for that closure is just to blame whatever is closest to them, when it might not even be that entity's fault, or it might not be the true story. Let the process work its way out so they can really figure out what happened, how it happened. And we'll probably never know why. If we do, that's great. But, the anger is going to make you want to have closure today, and it might not happen. And even if you get closure, it might not be good enough because it's not the answer that you want to hear. But take the time to process and grieve the way it is meant for you to process and grieve. And then lastly, stay off social media, because everybody is going to have something to say. Everybody's going to, bad mouth, good mouth, whatever. Either the young lady, the family, the process in the Navy, the military. We talked about earlier, I don't want my daughter going to the military. And it's not a military thing. It's a human thing. The same thing happens every day in civilian society. The difference is we're a little bit more protective, and we try to be proactive more than we are reactive. We can still do a little bit better with that. And that is how, with the Vanessa thing, that's how my Navy coaching and some other things came to life because of that situation, to get ahead of the predators and the prevention of things like this. But just be aware of your emotions, and just, my biggest thing is just breathe, take your time, and go through the healing process that's meant for you. Stay off social media, because it's not going to do anything but just keep the wound open, and you will never heal properly.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Courtney. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. I wanted us to close that part of the conversation? Because I know the next part of the conversation is going to be more procedural and more like,
Right.
So let's kind of get back to that, right? So process, right? A seller is, you got your muster report due 8:00, right? And seller so-and-so is not there. All right. So where did we kind of get to with that? We got to, we already sent people to
the room, and you see and I was saying that one of the things you have to look for is to see if there was like foul play, because then if there is evidence that maybe there's foul play, you report it to NCIS. And so in their case, they went to the barracks room. Everything was intact. You didn't see anything that looked like a shuffle or anything, a struggle. You didn't see any type of evidence that something bad happened to her. And so they just continued on. Now, the next thing after that, according to the policy, is on day 5, you send a letter to the family, letting them know that this person is UA, and if they've contacted them to, that type of thing. Like, hey, this person is missing. If you heard from them, blah, blah, blah. Like, we regret to inform you type thing. And so 5 days back then, way back when, was cool. 5 days now with social media and the way that information gets transferred, and in this case where her mom knew immediately, sometimes you can't just stick with the policy. And they probably didn't even know, like, her family talks to her every single day. They probably didn't know that. But 5 days just in general.
Who probably?
The chain of command. They probably didn't know that, her family would know day 1 type thing. They're just going off the policy where it's like, on day 5, that's when we send a letter and we notify the family. And so day 5 in this world of 2025 with social media is just too long, honestly.
Yeah. So let me jump in real quick. So somebody went missing. It was a missing thing. We got hit up on TikTok, and somebody was like, "Hey, can you share this thing? This person missing." And I felt like from that, and I usually don't do that, right? But I felt like from that, I told my wife, I'm like, "Yo, this seemed kind of sketchy. I think this seller just went UA, because it was just a very roundabout way of me getting this information." But I saw that it was in a couple other sites, so I shared it from like our social media. And of course, I got reached out by like some insider who could like really find this person, like this group, like, yo, we got a group that we look for missing people. Boom, boom, like, so they like looking out. And, and the lady that I was talking to, she's from our first ship, she was like, Damo, I don't know, the basis of the story, but if you're saying it and you're putting it out on your platform, we gonna take it serious, and I'm gonna get these people in contact. Somebody DM'd me within like 8 hours of that and was like, yo, the dude ain't missing. He known for this on the ship. He went UA and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, so then it's like, now it's like, gotta be careful. So now this happens, right? So now I'm like, man, do we even want the platform to be about, sharing these kind of things? So I put in a story because it affected me, but it's like, that other side that Aaron was talking about, like, people do this. Because the one thing I want to talk about is like, she was 21. And like we talking about with the UA and you doing a report and all of that, sellers go UA. They've been going UA since we've been around, and I was talking to my mother-in-law about it. And I was like a lot of these people are like, well, everybody that enlists, they're adults.
Right.
They grown. So people people looking at it like, well, if you UA, you're UA, and I think it's an aspect of it where we as leaders, and I'm talking about like just chiefs of the divisions, might be doing some stuff that's not protocol to get in contact with these families and have these conversations that like people expect to be had. But I don't think on a regular day-to-day, these things happen that way.
Yeah. And you know what? But I think we see things happen so many times, and it's like a false alarm that we become desensitized. We don't take it seriously. And when we don't, the one time when it's a real serious situation like this, then it's like, oh Lord, everybody's, and I'm backtracking to when you say on day 5, we send out a letter. And I'm like, okay, so day 5, we send out a letter. Day 5, she was already up here. The letter's still somewhere in the mail. So she was in social media instead of, like, it infuriates me. I don't even have kids, but this makes me mad, right? You tell the leadership, and I can see how leaders we don't want to jump the gun and think the worst and call the parents in a whole other state and have them stressed out only to go to the barracks and you don't overstep, you can cut your alarm off. Something like that.
Yeah. You know why, Courtney?
Why?
Because we be looking for the playbook all the time. We trying to find the playbook. Like, how are we supposed to do this without doing the wrong thing?
Right. Yeah. So that we can cover ourselves in case anything happen and we end up on a red carpet having to explain ourselves. We can say we went through black and white, which is crazy because like you said, it might have been good 15, 20 years ago. But today's generation, today's time, people on deployment, you can't send them an email because it'll never get there, but you can damn sure message them on Facebook Messenger and they get that message real quick, right? Social media is going to move like a wildfire, like the Dismal Swamp. Social media is going to light up, and that's how families are finding out things, and that is uncalled for. If, you were saying earlier in the timeline that, the CEO or whoever it was, for me, I just feel like leadership does not take things seriously because we see BS happen all the time. And we put it at the bottom. And then that one time when we need it, it's like, how do you find equal ground to like not really treat everything like a joke? Because that one time it's not going to be a joke. It's going to be the real deal. And now look at us, how do you find that common ground? So we're not wasting resources and got kids, parents spooled up when your child just, I don't know, overslept or thought he had the weekend off. And it was like, no, you got duty, trying to find that common ground.
I think it's tiers. So if, depending on the size of the shop or the division, right, everyone knows each other intimately because of that's unique to us. People all the way. You know what their tendencies are. Hey, man, he or she, they go out, or hey, they're a homebody, they're gaming, they're probably locked in.
But not everybody does that.
Right?
That's another situation.
True, right? So I'll say in the best case scenario where if it's a shop that knows people, works in a soup, and the LPO, they got a type B, they know they folks. And they tell the chief, hey, or the Divo, hey, such and such ain't acting right. I ain't heard from them. This ain't normal. When it goes up, and if, let's say, that chief calls, that master chief, that CISO, that CMC, hey, this is not normal. For me, if it's a good case scenario, like you said, if the person really knows their people, I would take more weight, right? If I get that phone call at 21:30, like, oh, hey, this one of those ones, that would spur it. But that's hinging on if people really know their folks.
Right.
And if their folks even open up like that. I even tell people, okay, I can call you on answer. Did their phones stay on do not disturb as a default setting?
Right.
I try to tell my folks, hey, I appreciate you guarding your peace. And, you shouldn't be getting called after the working hours. But damn it, like put a filter where if the number is from the ship or it's from the LPO, it'll get through do not disturb so we know what it is. We ain't trying to call for social hour. We're trying to call to make sure you're okay. That is a different standard you have as a person in uniform. You have to be not on call, but you got to be reachable.
Right.
I think that's another thing to talk about too. Like the default do not disturb when you are operational and you got recalls going around. So
I mean, how do we learn from this? You know what I'm saying? It's another little aspect that I got about cameras. But I don't want to dig too deep into it, but because I've read comments and people got this idea. Like we could go myth bust a lot about the way military protocol is and the things that happen on bases, right? But people got this idea that it's cameras like all over everywhere, right?
Right.
I don't want to say where cameras are and where cameras are not because this is a worldwide podcast, right? But cameras ain't everywhere that people think cameras are. I don't know if that's a good thing or that's a bad thing, but I know that like really quick short story. The command I'm at now, some years ago when I was stationed here before, it was a barracks, and it was a retired master chief. And he used to watch he was a civilian now, he ran the barracks. He used to watch the cameras every day. Sellers would go to mass based off of things that he caught on these cameras, right? Like it was bad. It was like bad shit, like chiefs going in. It was bad stuff like chiefs going in junior sellers' rooms and threesomes, like all types of crazy, right? But they would go to mass based off, and he would watch every single feed from every camera. So it's a lot of privacy that now it's like, damn, this is where I live though. Right. So I don't think a lot of sellers wanted the cameras in that, that barracks building. So it's another part about like when people call, like in all of these stories, it seemed like every now and then you get this story where like a family member called, like the Vanessa Guillen thing. It was like a family member called the base, and they were like frustrated because the person that they talked to didn't know where the daughter was or where to find them. Those bases, right? And I'm not like, no offense, but those bases are big as hell. Right. And that E5 or E3 that you call don't know the whereabouts of your they just don't, like, of everybody that's on that. Those things don't happen. You call, it's a 70%, it's a 90% chance you probably gonna get the person that don't know what's going on. If you just randomly call a ship, like, I'm gonna just call that ship. Like you're gonna get the quarterdeck, and they not gonna know what's going on, or they can't talk about it. Whoever that junior seller is has already been instructed to probably say if this happened. Like, so then I think the kind of go ahead would be to, hey, if somebody from this family calls, have them call the CMC, this person like this. But that, like, it's not what people think it is, I think, when it comes to military. It's like when we say military grade and some of our stuff is like a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like when, like, a lot of people think we are just always on it. Like, it's not like that. Like,
Yeah.
What were you about to say?
What I'll say with that is, that's a great point, establishing protocol, because whoever answered that phone should have never said shit. They should have got the phone to someone who could speak intelligently about it, whether that be the CO, XO, CMC, especially if it's like a missing person type deal. You don't just want anybody, you want the person at the top. If my child is missing, I don't want to talk to nobody but the person at the top. Or if it's my command, I don't want them to talk to nobody but me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You know that based off you, and you know that, Teach, because you've been in the Navy. You're not just random Texas mother who don't know what the hell going on. You think everybody that answer the phone is a military person that know what the hell is going on.
Right. This person knows what's going on. Right. And so that person who answered the phone should have had enough sense to take a message and deliver it somewhere else. Like, you could have delivered it to your chief or something. Like, you don't go and like giving answers on something that you can't speak intelligently about. That should be like part of the protocol in the Navy, like standard. Like, if someone is UA and a family member calls, they should be, their information should be forwarded to this person, or, that phone call should go to this person. So, and
I gotta argue that a little bit, Tish. I gotta argue that a little bit.
I saw Courtney that something too.
Yeah.
Well, because here's the thing.
Courtney might say the same, and so I'm not arguing with the expectation that that's how it should work, right? I'm not arguing with that. How and how
the reality of what really happens.
Yeah. What was I'm gonna shut up, Courtney, to kind of hear you out for a second.
Well, I was thinking about my days as an OOD on the USS Enterprise, right? And you have me, got my petty officer to watch. If the phone rings, it ain't really me answering the phone. It's my petty officer to watch. It's just it's the OD, quarterdeck, whatever. But at the same time, with information like this, if the chain of command wasn't taking it seriously, they're not passing no information out. Don't nobody know what's going on. Everything is happening behind closed door. With the supply department, the CSs, with the CMC, and probably there's no CO and XO as well, right? It's probably being contained. The rest of the ship has not gotten a brief. They don't know what's going on because they still not really, they just trying to figure out, the chain of command still trying to figure out what's going on. So whoever's on the quarterdeck, I know they probably didn't get a brief. Hey, if somebody calls the ship, say this. That didn't happen. And then again, in a perfect world, yes, it is supposed to be, let me get back with you, take the message down and send it to the chain of command. But I also remember, You used to get inundated by crazy calls all the time on the quarterdeck. Between sailors' families, the sailors themselves, crazy parents, crazy spouses, going through the motions. Now they fine, they on the ship. Okay, I'll have them call you back. You know, and that's the reality because, again, we don't take stuff seriously, or they probably just didn't even know what was really going on because they hadn't made it. Why? Like the command probably had not did a whole not a safety stand down, but an all hands call to say, hey, this is what we got happening right now, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, that was just my thought process.
I'm going to take it.
Right. I don't necessarily think that it should be like, hey, if this particular person calls, then do this. Like, if a parent calls and saying that their child is missing, rather that person just saw that person go across the quarterdeck or not, you know, that should go to some designated person. And that doesn't have to be necessarily the COXO and CMC, but someone that's not an E5 OOD type thing.
Right. So before you leave that thought, I'm going to take it one small step further. You know how many ships I went to and I go to the quarterdeck and I'd be like, yo, you know, can I get the EDO? The engineer duty officer, or like, you know, the chain or something. And the quarterdeck look lost as hell, right? And then I'd be like, all right, look, I'm about to go down to CCS. And they'd be like, do you know where you going? Yes, I know where I'm going. I'm going to CCS. And then when I get to CCS, yo, where the EDO at? Well, he might be doing a spot check. He might be in, you know, the Cheeseman, right? All right, I'm going to go to Cheeseman. Like, I'm telling, like, and it's because we know what we doing when we go on these ships. A lot of times, those watchstanders, man, and I'm not saying they don't have situational awareness of their post, but a lot of times they don't got no clue on what the hell is going on or who the hell is there or not there.
Right.
And that's
so
fine.
It's just weird.
That's why you leave.
And I'm not negating what you're saying. I'm not negating what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's why I think that they just pass them like in the shit. It's been a long time, so I forget the name of the paper. But you know, it'll have like who is the semio, who is the who's who of the command. Like that's
right.
Everybody.
POD.
Yeah, the POD. Lord Jesus, I was like, what's that thing
it must be nice. 8214 nice.
It wasn't the POD.
I don't know.
She's not talking about the POD.
Listen, it's been a minute.
But how many sellers don't like saying, I don't know.
I beg to differ, Bram. I think cats like, my name Bennett, I'm not in it. They'll say, I don't know nothing.
Right.
About certain shit. You know,
I think blanket, they don't cast to know nothing. They just be like, I ain't it. Don't ask me.
Right.
But this is where watchstanding training comes back into play.
Right.
They let them know, hey, you get a phone call on this quarterdeck because you don't know what's going on because you might not be privy to the information because you are E5, you are E6, and this is not your level to handle. But if you get a phone call on this quarterdeck, you will write down who's calling, the number they're calling for, like a good reach back number, and you will pass it to the actual OOD, the duty section leader, whoever is the leadership in charge for that day. You know what I mean?
Right. It just got to be standard protocol.
I mean, y'all know how many people.
Hold on. Courtney, as a fellow CVN 65 alumnus, right? I'll tell you, as a messenger watch, as a pet officer to watch, the protocols, the standards, I'll say that binder, the dummy guides. Hey, I knew when I was in the Enterprise, when I was in the Vincent, them binders were sailor and dummy proof. And I always remember being told, and then me as a sectioner telling people, hey man, you always have more time than you believe to get an answer. You tell them
a lot of people don't think that though.
Yeah, right. But it got reinforced. You got, hey, I'll put you on hold, call back. Boom, get the PAO. But an older question, you said, what's the way forward? Damo,
before you get there, because I got one last point about the. I don't have smoke for people that stand watch on a quarterdeck, but like I've called up there before from the ship, like, hey, can you have duty section such and such engineering department must that repair 3 with the DCA or something like that, and then when that person get on the 1MC and repeat exactly what you just said, it's totally they messed up. They'll be like, you know, so it's a lot with jitters.
You just get look. Say this.
even if they write it down sometime, they like on my destroyer that I went to, it was a thing. I honestly, actually, Alana Abernathy, who's been on our podcast a couple times, like we had to like clamp down, like and like pretty much you got hell to face if you mess up on a 1MC. They like people were messing up on a 1MC so much that it was like, yo, if you mess up on a 1MC, you're gonna like we're gonna call you your chief and your department head up here,
excommunicado.
Oh no, they put us on the balls to four watch. If you messed up on your watch, you immediately had the balls to four watch. Like they weren't playing. You got double one.
I'm gonna set up my guy Rodney Daniels. You mess up, he'd be like, "Hey, bro, shake my hand. Thank you. You just filled my next 2 watches, bro. I appreciate you."
I guess the point I'm making, because I know we kind of drifting. I guess, and I know Tisha got something. I guess the point I'm making is sometimes people just be going with the motions.
Yeah.
Bill Houlihan jumped through me. I told you about that C story on the Vincent. I said I'm going through the motions. He said, "What do you mean you going through the motions?"
Yeah.
Ate you up, huh? Ate you up.
Yeah.
Yes. To this day, I see him. To this day, I see him. I talk about that.
Right.
What you had to?
Oh, so outside of, the whole training the quarterdeck thing and establishing some type of protocol within the command or within any command when something like that happens, you got a family member calling. I think that another thing, in the civilian world, if a person is missing more than 24 hours, then you can contact the police to, and file a missing persons report. And in our policy, it has to be like some type of, it looks like foul play. And the command has to determine that. And then you go to NCIS. Well, why don't, NCIS works for us. 24 hours.
Right.
You've done all the protocol. They're still not back. You contact NCIS and report them as a missing persons. In this case, they would have started looking into it, start questioning people. Whether they're gone because they want to or not, I would still want to know, oh, okay, if you're gone because you want to and we find out that's the case, cool. But God forbid, we don't. And then that person is in the hospital. I remember at my last command.
How old is that instruction, that policy?
2021 is the last time they updated it.
All right. I got a question after.
But and it's still that's still right. 2021 is we in social media world, so that's but at the time nothing has happened to where we need to really look at the policy like that issue. We are more reaction on that standpoint. But at one of my my last command, there was I think he was chief or senior chief, I forget. He went to LA to visit family and ended up getting shot. Like his family's like heavily into gangs and he was going to visit his mom and got shot.
Yeah.
Well, the command didn't know for a few days. And he wasn't coming to work. And I don't even think he was like UA or anything. But it's like everybody's just like, oh, whatever. They probably just didn't want to come, or, they're chief. They probably, just doing their chief thing, or, you just assume the best. And in that case, he was laying up in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? And so why can't we file a missing persons report after 24 hours that they haven't come back? Because most of the time, if someone is UA, you find them in the barracks. They overslept.
Right.
Yeah,
most of the time,
right
I would say.
Yeah, so I'm gonna can I chime in and we gotta close this topic, but can I chime in a little bit? I think that's like right now though. Like I think some of these policies and stuff were born out of different eras. Like so let's say this policy was born in the Vietnam era. If this policy was born in the Vietnam era, a lot of those dudes were going UA for a day or two, or some people were deserters, or like, so you wasn't going to file a missing person. Like you could have got a unit and 12, they deserting and 12 people from. So I think a lot of our policies are bred in a different time for like the military. But I agree, like we need to relook at like how we looking at some of this stuff. But again, if it's like a coverage thing. So if we cover, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, Aaron, but it's like, if we cover down that way, and then we do go back to war again, and then we start seeing that happening again, it becomes an admin burden now, or like this other weird thing. It's like it's like fucking 30 people went UA yesterday because they don't want to fight. You know, like, and they not coming back. Like, are we doing Mrs. Persons on our like, it's just, I think it's a gray area that we do have to figure out. But I think, I honestly think that's where the gray area comes from.
Right. Aaron. Oh, Lord, Aaron.
Aaron being his thoughts.
See?
You can see him calculating. Yeah,
that's me.
Yeah, he got
the
data. I had talked there. I was like, "Do you see your faces when we do the pod?"
Hey, so my Ellen 1, he's like, "Oh, you're a regular?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm a friend of the program." Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, you got better with your faces." What are you talking about? He's like, you know,
yeah.
I just be faking.
I just be saying stuff, and I was like, "Dang, Aaron must have hated what I was saying."
Nah, I just
yesterday was Monday.
I was like, "Do you disagree, Aaron?" Because his face is like he be good, and sometimes he be thinking of stuff, and it don't really necessarily like that. He disagrees. He just thinks of something, and his face just changes, and you're like, "Oh, dang."
You ever see Aaron get ready? Tisha, you ever see him like ready to?
He's up there computing and analyzing data. It's going through his face is like the graph. It just starts going up. Yeah,
Courtney know from RTC. Somebody say something. I'm like, she be like, "Hey, bro, don't." I'm like, nah, but
he gonna say it with his face first.
Yeah, I have no poker face. My XO will tell you, my CO will tell you, ACMC, please. I'm like, if it sounds stupid, I'm allergic. I'm gonna get itchy, sir.
So what if, like, to close, like, what have we learned from this?
Well, we learned, in my opinion.
As us,
my humble opinion, other podcasts, whatever. I think that this conversation is being had in multiple rooms by policymakers, and they're probably saying some of the same things. Where it's like, hey, like how Courtney said about, look, the speed of information, rate of information is not 5-day letters. You're doing letters. It's a phone call. It's an official text message, right? The recalls need to list a recall will list your phone number. Your recall should probably list your phone number and your email. I might need to list your social media handles. You know, we have to get up to 2025. We still moving at 2007 maybe at the best. And I'm not saying that we're moving at a snail's pace. It's just the Navy's focus on improvement is based on engineering and this radar system and all this. We ain't thinking about recalls and updates and all that. You try to be proactive. It's not going to happen unless something happens. And then the conversation happens to meet the times. So I think it's going to happen. Expectation management, and we're doing what we can. The conversations, hey, you know what? This needs to be met. What if you have someone who's actually really tight with their family and they contact all the time? Or like T said, it's NCIS. Why even burden a command with this? After 48 hours, you fly it, send over a message, or you give the contact the NCIS and let them handle that and let us worry about, you know, the unrep or something.
Right.
You know? So that's what I think. I think that the conversations have been had, the situation happened, and the tragedy happened, and it's going to cause us to reassess and then, you know, make improvements, changes, and move forward.
Yeah. If it happened, if it's what we think it is right now, do y'all think the way we do like psych protocols and screen people for like things like of that nature could have a second look?
Well, I can tell you from the Vanessa case, when that piece took off, Big Navy came out to all the branches, not just us. So the Army had the Army had a coaching program established in the Army. The Air Force had a coaching program established in the Air Force. The Marines were already doing coaching with the Marines. We were the only branch that did not have a type of connectedness program for our junior sailors. So my Navy coaching was born because they said, hey, what are y'all doing to, like you mentioned, screen or getting to know and being more aware of, you know, your junior personnel so that you can see if they have like a a predisposition to do something crazy, or if they're, got the predatory stuff, or they got walking assassin, or like, what are y'all doing? And so my Navy coaching they started doing, I forgot what the program was for the officers, but they were actually like screening officers. If you didn't pass this screening, you were not going to take command, because I don't need you over here and you're racist, you're biased, you're chauvinistic, all that, because now it's going to be a toxic environment. So they were like, nope, you don't pass the screening, you're not taking command. My Navy coaching came because we were trying to shift leadership from always asking sailors closed-ended questions. Are you good? Do you need anything? Was the trash taken out? Did you sign for yoke? Did you do your qual? No, we changing the mindset. Hey, how was your weekend? What do you need? How are you feeling today? When was the last time you did? To start making them actually talk back, because we're in a generation. It's a generation thing. They're only going to give you exactly what you asked for, right?
Yeah, so like a 2-word answer.
That's it. And we don't find out what's really going on until shit hits the fan. And now we're having to backtrack, figure out where the miscommunication was, where the breakdown was, because communication can make or break anything. And when I was doing the workshops, my Navy coaching workshops, I would always do the E6 and above classes, because I love us, because sometimes we are the worst. We are the worst when it comes to, we want to be leaders, but we don't want to lead. We want the title, but we don't want to do the job and the responsibilities and the headache. Hey, listen. So I would tell the leadership in the room, no matter what your rank was, if you are in an office or a space where your sailors don't talk to you, it's because they don't trust you. If they don't trust you, they're not going to talk to you. Coming up for older heads, we came up, we had blind loyalty, blind faith, because we were taught that you will respect your elders, you will speak when spoken to. And so when we came in, we respected that first class that was cussing us out, even though he was cussing us out. We didn't question nothing. Yeah. But we are in a generation now where sailors are coming in, they don't care what your rank is or who you are. They don't give a damn about that, because they don't trust you yet. So how do we get out from our high horse to meet our sailors where they're at? Communication. And they might not communicate with you the first time because they don't know you. But as soon as you start to build that rapport and you're checking on them daily, hey, how was your weekend? Was last time you talked to your parents? How's everything at home? How are your wife and your kids doing? How's your husband doing? He got a new job. Hey, tell me, say congratulations. When you start building that communication, they're gonna be like, oh, damn. Okay, chief, ma'am, sir, whoever. Okay, that one time where they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, they're going to come and find you, because they remembered how many times you actually pulled them aside for a real conversation. Not like, hey, how you doing? And you kept walking down the P-way. Because it's going to be that one time where they're not going to show up for muster. And now you got to go out here and fly this sit rep, because you never built that conversation with your sailor. And this is one of them times.
Yeah. And hey, you might have to share a little bit about yourself. They want
to see that transparency.
Yeah. That'd be my little check-in and check-out. My little check-in be like, hey, look, I'm this, I'm that, had a miscarriage, boom, 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 this happened to me, boom, 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 boom. Then I'd be like, well, what about you? And they'd be like, hey, I'm such and such, my house burned down, this happened, I'm doing this for my mom. Like, it's just opened up the door for them. Yeah. If I would have just gave them that same, these are my principles of leadership, like, they wouldn't have had that much. But when I hit them with this me, I'm struggling with this, I'm dealing with this, like, they just, then all I do is shut up. And I'd be like, well, tell me about you. They start getting to like everything, like just right then and there. Like, you open the door for that, and we have to. Like, I think what I'll take from it is the know your people part, the part that Tish brought up, Damon brought up, you brought up, Courtney, is just, we got to know because the only like kind of people we could speak for is like our level of leadership, right? And when I'm talking about our level of leadership right now, I'm not talking about like as a CMC, right? I'm talking about like just as a chief, right? So our level of leadership as a chief, I feel like it's a certain form of intervention that could come into a lot of these situations that got to do with our sailors if we know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Even to the point of, damn, should I reach out to such and such mom or dad like right now? I would make that call. I would be okay getting cussed the fuck out after that. Like, why would you do that? Yeah. Hey, I know her son or I know her daughter. This not normal for this person.
Right.
And I know it used to be a time where we could where they was like calling parents during DRBs, but then people kind of stopped doing that. Or, don't call the parents, stuff like that. But in certain, in that type of situation, I would, let me, at this point, hey, look, the Navy, we got our protocols, but I'm going to just let you know, your daughter ain't muster in the last 2 days, 3 days, whatever. We doing what we need to do, but you should now, whatever it is that
have they contacted you? Right.
Yeah.
I think that's something unique to being a chief.
Like, we got to be more personable with it. But again, leaders want to lead, or leaders want the title, but they don't want to lead. They don't want to get in contact, or make a connection with their sailors. They're just there for the person to 15.
And they, like I said, they expect the worst. Like, they're like, oh yeah, this sailor just went UA. Like, you expect the worst automatically. And if you know that sailor and that's not like them, something in your gut should be like, nah. And you should be going to the CMC XOCO like, nah, something ain't right about this situation. We need to do more. We need to contact NCIS now. Like, that's enough to be like, oh yeah, that something seemed wrong, foul play. Let's go ahead and contact NCIS now. But I mean, from what it sounds like, how she is and the type of sailor she is, that sounds like something that would have been appropriate. And I bet and maybe it happened, maybe it didn't, I don't know. But if that were to happen and, the CO saw how strong the chain of command felt like something is wrong, I don't think the CO would be like, no, we not doing that. We gonna wait.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's, again, that's just crazy, just
I gotta sign off, y'all.
Oh, she gotta sign off.
Okay. Damn, you got to sign off? All right. Can we say bye for a minute? Can we take a minute to say goodbye?
I want to get that feedback on that picture.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the Master Chief.
The picture?
Yeah, it's a picture that's been floating around.
The advancement picture.
I'll text you later.
Let me know when you want me back. That's a whole nother... woo!
All right, well, yeah. We're gonna give you the invite to come back. Well, hey, thanks, Courtney. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
It's my honor to hang out with y'all. I'll do this again. I love this vibe. I love the energy. Keep making the sailors aware. Keep speaking from the heart, and just giving the listeners what they want. Because real talk don't really happen a lot. That especially military stuff. So I like what y'all do.
Thank you.
Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen. Courtney Barber,
that's my sis.
AZCM. Yeah, thanks for joining us. All right, let's talk about this picture. Let's get into this picture, man. Go ahead, Aaron, start.
You want me to say what was posted? All right, so there was a promotion. There's a pinning picture from command. There was the two master chiefs, two senior chiefs. Yeah, two master chiefs on the bookends. And you had one master chief, female master chief, who was the target of ire because of her appearance in uniform and standards. And of course, the comments went in fuego. Everyone on every social media platform of note talked about it. Mm-hmm. I talked about it after a run, and here it is. Chiefs, standard bearers. What are your thoughts?
What you got, Tish?
I'll just say that one thing that I don't, and I've expressed this before, one thing I don't like about social media is the way that people will comment on things very boldly and loudly, as though this is not a human being that you're talking about. And it's something that they would never say if they were sitting in front of her face. That's the thing I don't like about social media. Everybody giving their, and I know I sit here and we give our opinions on things. But I think that there's a difference in, giving constructive feedback on policy versus there were people who were being straight bullies on there. And regardless, this is a human being. If I was her, I would want to crawl under a fucking rock. We were talking about wigs earlier. If somebody come on and on our podcast start talking about my wig and it goes viral, everybody talking about it, I would want to crawl under a fucking rock because all these people are talking negatively about something. Even if I, don't feel my best or you never know what that person is going through. And it goes back to straw. You don't know what that person is going through, what type of day that person is having. Yeah. And now you got them flaming on social media over their weight. Something that she's probably already not down on herself about. So that's my opinion on the picture. As far as the standard, and I think that your appearance should be professional in uniform, regardless of your job. And so, that's all I say about that. I'll let y'all go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, man.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, man. This joint. This conversation.
You want me to go and give you some time?
Because Aaron gonna bust it up. He gonna bust it wide open anyway. He don't care.
Yeah. I mean, it's some. You got to be careful with your language in this conversation.
Oh,
it's
true.
It's some black and white to this, right? So the black and white is she's out of standards, right? That's the obvious that the lady is out of standards. The sister, the master chief, out of standards. I'm working with my, but all right, out of standards. All right, so here, I think this is what I think, right? I think that it's on us to make sure that we're in standards, right? I think it's on us to make sure we're in standards and to give yourself that let's say you struggle, right? I was talking to Raymond Kemp actually recently about my struggles, right? So let's say you struggle. It's still on yourself to hold yourself accountable to make sure that you stay within standards, because this is where we are within the military. Right. So that's now a yourself thing. I also believe in community assistance, right? Because I know that the physical stuff, weight loss. I've been talking to my mother-in-law about bulking up, weight gain. All of this shit is not just a physical thing. It's not just a physical struggle or a physical quest or, it's not just physical. A lot of this is mental, right? A lot of this got to do with discipline. A lot of this got to do, and it's both ways. It's like input, output, right? So you got to input, you got to have positive input, positive whatever. It's hard. And then I noticed that when you do get a good regimen going or you get a good routine going, output is positive too. And I'm talking about both mind and body. It's a mental thing. Like Aaron, I saw Aaron video where he was like, yo, I went out for a run. I think you might have said you didn't want to do it that day. That's mental. That's mental. That's spiritual. That's something different, right? So when we starting to talk about people that's in the military and out of standards, to me, a part of this got to do with the mental as well. And a part of this now got to do with having some type of support system, right? And I'm not saying people need crutches, no pun intended, right? But I'm saying people need some kind of understanding from other, and we talked about it before, and I mentioned a personal situation that, a previous command or whatever like that, where it's hey, I know you're struggling at this point. This is how I want to help you. We got to do that. And I hate to go Teen Summit, rest in peace to Ananda. I hate to go Teen Summit on this, but that's really where we kind of are, in my opinion, when you see somebody that out of standards, in my opinion. I was looking at my Master Chief penance ceremony and the way my shirt was look wrinkled. I didn't like how I looked. I'm man, and that's the self-pulse. Oh shit, I need to boom, boom, boom. But even with the self-pulse, it's not the easiest thing. You know what I mean? So you got to try to, some people Tish, you either work out, Tish, or your metabolism is high, or you always been that way, or whatever it is. That but not everybody has that. Then things happen in people's life. They get in car accidents. They have kids, and then their bodies change in those kind of ways too. So again, like I said, and I'm talking, and because I don't even know if I'm making my point, but it's physical and it's mental, and both of those things need conditioning when it comes to losing weight. I think discipline is the God trait. I think discipline and patience is the God traits, because you could work out for 2 weeks and not see many changes yet. You probably feel a little different, but you're not seeing many changes yet. But if you stick it out, it's going to happen, And then I was telling Aaron before, and I'm going to shut up. schedule is crazy too. Two more things: schedule and age. You know, and a lot of young and I love y'all. I love the young I love y'all. Yo, if you listen to us right now, y'all know what it is. But like, y'all take for granted that age thing, y'all. Like, I was 25 and lost 90 pounds before. I'm 38 now. And this round of weight loss that I'm going through now, it's not going to be like when I was 25. I'm going to probably get injured about 4 or 5 more times. Like, it's just not going to be the same, you know? And it takes a little bit more of that willpower. And then not to like discount the fact that we talk about people making Master Chief. So not to discount the fact that these person might have kids and all of that shit. But everything I said does not negate the fact that we're supposed to be in standards and we need to have a pulse of ourselves as we start to slip out of standards. None of that negates it, but I just want to open that like aperture a little bit so people can understand like it's a lot of things that people are going through.
Yeah.
Again, no excuse.
But before Aaron chimes in, because I know, you know, he over there holding it.
I'm not going to bust it.
To go along what you were saying, Damo, with support. Once upon a time, that support looked like FEP, going to see a nutritionist and all that stuff. Like the Navy had policies that kind of enforced that standard. And there was no promotion. You couldn't get orders. There was all these things that you couldn't do if you were out of standards. That slowly being, you know, pulled back. And so now there is no enforcement of that. And so that it can look like it can look like this, where it's hard for someone to do it on their own. That, like you said, it's mental. If you don't have nobody pushing you, like, I know I'm going to get promoted regardless. I know I'm going to get to do everything I want to do regardless. Where is the motivation in the enforcement of, if the Navy ain't going to take it serious, then fuck it. Like, all right, like, there's nothing stopping me from not becoming this. Like, I don't have any, and you should have it within yourself. But for some people, they need that external push to be able to do it. And that's just not happening with Navy policies to reinforce that.
Yeah, and just throwing it on that new eval, I'm gonna have to ask Bill about that, like what that really means. Like, I don't know what it really means yet, so I'm gonna have to go talk to the guys over there. But what's your thoughts on it, Aaron?
All right, so you said it, T said it. There's a lot of variables to it, and I said it early in the week on my post. Ask the why. You don't know if the person got over an injury. You don't know if the person just had a child, and you don't know if the uniform shortage happened to where they couldn't get the uniform after they're working through a child or injury. You don't know if they're prescribed some meds. You don't know if they had a broken leg when they got screened, and then they finally got FFD, and then they took orders, and now they're able to pin. There's so many questions that we don't know, right? All that to say, going back to what you said, Damo, the standard is a standard as far as what's written, right?
Yeah.
This is my do better, but I had a very big problem with the Chiefs mess and the response.
Yeah. Hey, before you go there, because I want to say this, because I keep saying it, like, you know, because my fight back on all that is you got to pulse yourself, right? So you just got surgery on some shit, right? So maybe before you got surgery, you used to eat, and this, I mean, I know I'm probably going to start sounding crazy, but maybe before you got surgery, you didn't mind your diet as much, right? But now you do get surgery, so you can't like, I'll use myself as an example. When I get the PRP shots, I can't run, right? So running normally kind of regulates me, at least so that I'm not getting super out of standards, right? But when I get my PRP, I can't run, right? So if I would have probably got like this on the Saturday, I went crazy here or whatever, I'm not really doing that in the times of, the recovery from the PRP because I can't afford to do that right now. So that's me keeping a pulse on myself. It's a certain level of out of standards that you got to kind of like now look at again. Like, yo, I need to bring myself back within, no matter what in my opinion, no matter what it is that happened. Unless, unless you had like a T. Shane Johnson type injury and you had to kind of recreate yourself like the $1 Million Man. But outside of that, you have to maintain a pulse. Because basically, I'm saying that to say this. I don't want it to sound as if we talking about somebody that was 100% within standards before all of this stuff happened. And I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not specifically. But damn, like how much happened? And I'm not specifically talking about this Master Chief. I'm not.
I'm talking in general.
This Master Chief anymore. Like, how long are you like to get severely out of standards? Like, damn, how long was the situation? Like, was it a cascading injury? Because not everybody that gets surgery. I mean, I'm gonna sound kind of crazy, but I'm gonna still keep it real. Like, not everybody that gets surgery just blow up.
So, some cats do. We don't know. Probably will never know her situation, right?
Yeah, we offer her. We not talk about her no more. I don't want to.
Well, I'll go back to when I look at the culture thing for us in the Navy and in the Chiefs mess, right? Yeah. Command PT is a mythological creature. Like, it really doesn't exist. It happens sometimes. If you're on shore duty, yeah, even then. If you're operational, when does it really happen? It's based on the command. I don't see it. Yeah. I don't. This thing that some of the people at the loudest voices, right? They've been waived off PRTs or PFAs so many times illegitimately. I don't buy it. Yeah. When we talked, the Army 250, right? The first event they had was a run, and you saw a bunch of Army cadres. That's in their culture.
Yeah,
I have Army at my command. Their PRT days, their PT days, it's a non-negotiable. Yeah. They're there. That's embedded in them, right?
And that's why I think we need a mirror. Yeah.
A mirror. So we do this. You don't believe that. Yeah. I'm talking like you don't believe that. Yeah. Like there's an Army 10-miler race. There is a Marine Corps historic half marathon, a Marine Corps marathon. There's an Air Force marathon. But what does the Navy have?
Yeah, none of that. I mean, now it's options like, hey, for the Navy birthday, why don't you do this?
But I'm talking about like in the culture. So we're talking about the culture of fitness.
Yeah, we
got a culture of fitness. We got a culture of making the standard and making the mission go.
I got a question though. It's burning me up. What physical condition like makes you just gain a lot of weight? It's some of them out there, so I'm not like saying it's not like one of the thyroids, right? One of the
thyroids. I had friends who
hypoactive,
right? They got things that will throw your hormones out of whack, retain water, all that stuff. If you break a leg,
even birth control.
If you help up. Yeah, there's so many things that could throw your body out of whack.
Yeah, but now with birth control, you got to self-regulate, right? So if you go on birth control, you could gain weight from birth control, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you got to offset that, right?
Right.
Now, if you're on birth control, you got thyroid and you got injured, I get it.
Yeah.
I tread lightly on this because obviously you and I are on women, and women's bodies different than men's, and standards are standards. We talk about standards lately from the SecDef office and everything. Yeah. I'm
gonna shut up. I'm gonna leave it till you do better because I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it because it's still hard for me to understand some of it when it comes to it. But I do understand.
I'm two ways with it, bro. I'm like, if the self accountability, the accountability, and the real truth wasn't there for that person or those people, because the other dudes, they belts was struggling for integrity too. You know what I'm saying? The standard is the standard, but
it's more to it.
If there was negligence, I have nothing for you, but yo, man, anchor up and do better.
But in some cases, it is negligence.
Yeah, right. More times than not.
Yeah, who knows?
Also, but also, you are there talking. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. If some of us, I'm gonna say some of us in the comments,
this should do better.
So hard. Yeah. You better embody or be striving for the standard that you profess to hold her or anybody else accountable to. And if you're not, your credibility score is shot. You need to shut up. You don't have any footing to say anything. You cannot hold a standard if you don't abide to it yourself. And we're not saying for a person to be a world-class athlete, just being to meet the standard, be functionally fit and healthy so you could pass screening and do your job and look the part in uniform. But that's my do better. Actually be the standard that you profess that you love so much. And some retirees, like, oh, I never in my day, fam, we see your pictures. You are fat as shit. Stop. Yeah. You don't stop it. Stop.
Or they're out of standards in other ways. It may not be weight standard, but they have their own demon. And most of the loudest ones on social media that's not in the military anymore, that always talking about, oh, I don't understand this and I would never. They got kicked out the military because they didn't hold the moral standards. So a standard is a standard. It don't matter. And I was just looking at something while we were talking. Because I was like, I wonder if you can like get like a lap band type thing, and while you're on active duty. I was just kind of like, can they get weight loss surgery? Well, yeah, but if
that stuff is dangerous.
It is, and I was like, well, if they've tried to lose weight and all that stuff, and it's not happening, and they want to stay in, is that an option type thing? Like I know
maybe they shouldn't stay in.
I know of I think he was a lieutenant commander. I think it was a lieutenant commander, but he was out of standards, but he was in the gym every day. Every day he was in the gym.
Pulse check.
And
pulse. You're trying.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
If you actually actively eating right, sleeping right, and doing what you can. Yeah. But other cats.
Right. Yeah. But that weight was not coming off. That weight still was not coming off. And I don't know what his medical history was, but I just know that weight wasn't really coming off. Not in the time that it needed to. And so that's what prompted me to look like, can you get like a gastric bypass type thing? And I was wondering, like, if you do, like, what happens with that? Because I don't know, about all that stuff. And apparently, if you were to get that, then you can't re-enlist, and you can be separated. And it's because of
I'm thinking about
all of the issues.
And all that stuff.
Right. It comes with all the issues that comes after the surgery and your diet and all that stuff. It just doesn't meet operational commands. So like, oh, okay. Well, that answers my question.
Look at the employee program.
Yeah.
I think you could get Ozempic. Something like that. Just for the listeners, man, or the people just for the YouTubers, I had a hat catastrophe this morning. That's the reason I got this hat on. I was looking for something else. But back to it. So I try my best not to add commentary to these things that happen, because like we are going through like judgment, like that type of commentary is because like we are going through a human experience. And like you said, Tish, like we all got our like things that we struggle with, right? Mm-hmm. So like I try my best just to kind of like be empathetic. It might not sound like it, but I try my best to be empathetic in a lot of these cases, because I got my own stuff. Now, like I said, with the post check, is I'm on a scale every day. I step on the scale every day. I got the thing to do your waist, and I'll go through that. I look at that. It's things that happen. It's a dude I shouted him out before. It's a dude on social media. His name Fat Chief. I'm gonna shout him out, and hopefully you start listening to the pod now, because he said he was a check the pod. But his name Fat Chief, and he's like detailing his weight loss experience, like every day, like how he working out, he trying, like, and that's for me, that's commendable. Like when I see that, like, okay, you don't like you taking them pulse checks. You're not just living off, like it's people now that's 2 years past that injury, and they still blaming everything on that injury. You're not just living off that the 2 year ago damn injury. Like it's time to like you've been off limb due now. You've been 100, literally 100 and figuratively 100, for the last 2 years. You know what I mean? So what's going on? You ain't 105 no more.
Right.
So it's just a lot with that. It's a lot with that. But like the part about the bullying and all that, I've deleted comments from our YouTube and other places that personally attack people. I don't know why people do that on social media. I don't know why people do that. And I want to anchor on
security.
Yeah. And they think that's where we do it at. Like it's like this cesspool of just nastiness, right? And I want to anchor on Aaron's point a little bit about us doing it to each other. That shit there is crazy. Like we supposed to be supportive of each other. Like we saw it with Christina back in the day when she put out the video and then she was getting death threats and all that stuff. Like, and then we just and that was other chiefs doing that. Like it was us. Let me not even say other service members, whatever. And then we do it. We go ahead and we do it again. We go ahead and we do it. It's crazy. Like I don't understand it. And I've made mistakes too. Like I might have went too hard on that captain that had the scope on the other way. On a podcast, I might have said too much. Somebody hit me up. But even that, I think it was a little bit more tame. I think that was a little bit more tame than some of what we see from people,
Yes. But, it's like some people unleash all their hurt and pain or all their frustration out on this person. And it's like, it's not even something that's necessary. Like,
and they wouldn't say it to her face, like you said.
They would not say it to her face at all.
Yo, it don't even be that after. Yeah, it don't even be that after the first 100 comments. After the first 100 comments, now it's people trying to say the funnier thing or the more harsh thing, just trying to have a better joke. That's the social media thing. Like that's kind of born out of Twitter a little bit. Like, oh yeah, they said this. All right, let me say this. Let me find this meme. Let me top. With this happened with this. It's just, it don't make no damn sense, yo.
Yeah.
It don't make no damn sense.
None at all.
Yeah, but I mean, now we talked about, we kind of touched on the chief billet. I don't even think we got enough time. We got so many topics, y'all. We've been going for a couple of weeks, but so we touched on the chief eval, right? The eval. Hey, Aaron, can you hit us with all the brass tacks for that real quick?
I don't know if we're probably getting ahead, but you got new chief evals coming out for us. Some changes, updates, there's a block, actual PFA scores. The SCM, the Seamless Marketplace has a category or a subgroup. Inspection scores would be on there. That's some of the what we call it, the wave tops, whatever. And like each block you have comments. And then you have another section for CO's comments for performance. But actual PFA scores will go on there. The marketplace, the screen people have their own subcategory group. And command impact on training and inspection scores is going to be captured specifically on the eval.
Yeah, so it's looking at the chief. It's looking at the whole chief. Like, right? Like you got mission vision. The mission vision and guiding principles kind of lay out these sections, right?
Yeah, but it's not the same, call it dip class. It's not the same, it's not taught the same trait categories, but they are just, flipped around. I can't pull it up here, but.
Yeah. So instead of having a whole block
43.
Yeah, because I could pull it up in my email. So, but instead of having a whole block 43 now, you got the different sections and you speak to the trait in that section, right? And then the SEM thing is kind of cool because now we separating the group a little bit, which is it's a little better than what we had before, right? Where everybody kind of pooled in together.
Yeah, it was like up to you to say if you're gonna put. The guidance before was being very intentional with the openings and closings, or if someone moved down, once again, it goes back to it was the exact messaging on the opening and closing.
Yeah. So looking at what was sent to us, right? It says align the new chief eval with the updated MCPON mission vision guiding principles. Focus on outcomes of performance vice activities associated with performance. So boom, you got technical expertise, institutional expertise, professionalism, integrity, so on and so on. And then you got your performance grade per each, and then performance comments per each block. Chief eval that is easily executable, understandable, and provides objective data to support individual trait. And like you said, so then it says each guiding principle within a category. So competency, character, and culture are connectedness. I guess we still trying to figure out which one we want to use. But multiple comment blocks addressing each guiding principle, which I just said. Your actual PFA date and score. What are we going to do with that information? It's a question of mine. Somebody please answer. I wasn't on the call with Millington, so I don't know. But what are we going to do with that information? And then block 21, like you said, screened and SIM until the valid pay grade, which I like. I like that. And that's the billet subcategory now. And then block 28, the inspection thing. I like that too. And serve, LOA. I like that. And your summary group rankings, it says embrace the red, whatever. But what's your thoughts on it, Aaron? Like, what's your complete opinion of it? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I'll say what I like first. What I like is I like how I'll say free text, but the narrative is key to each I guess trait. Leadership trait.
Yep.
And I like that. And then I like how it gives the key closing for the reporting seniors comments. I do like that. The only one thing I don't like, I think it's still in there, but I liked the trait. Well, I love the trait average about sense of heritage. I think that's key because that's embedded in us as chiefs to be the gatekeepers, custodians of history. I don't think there's a specific trait average sense of heritage. I think it's written in one. But that's the only thing that I don't like off first look.
Yeah, because so it's kind of not, right? So you got competency, technical mastery, and institutional expertise. So that's competency. And that's where heritage is, right? Know and teach the traditions, understand the history. So that's competency. Character is the professionalism piece and the integrity piece and the accountability piece. So that's character. And then culture is deck plate leadership and team effectiveness. So that's the culture piece. So that's kind of how we looped all three of them in like that. So sense of heritage is in there under the institutional expertise.
Yeah, I like for it to still keep its own, because besides my passion of history, like I'm one dude I teach to my charge book all the time. I book it all the time.
Yeah,
my charge book really has weight.
I just looked at my charge book, man. I'm gonna have to get some more charges, man. Some of them people was just putting.
I need you and Damon's charge, man. I'm still waiting for it 3 years later, man.
Hey, some of y'all was putting cookie cutter in my joint, man. I was looking for some inspiration. I opened that charge book up. Man. I shouldn't have got charges at the car washes, man.
My joints got weight. One dude, one AO, he drew Ioyas in the wings. I looked at it, I was like, what is this, man? I saw no pictures, man. What is this?
Yeah, look at that, my charge book, y'all. I was trying to get some inspiration, man. You know what I mean? Hey, I ain't got, what topics you got, Aaron? I ain't got no damn topics.
I'll say my one topic. I'm going to shut up and toss it to Tish. My topic, well, first thing I mentioned is like the SecDef in front of the House Committee. That's very interesting. Same way like when General Milley was in front or General CQ Brown was in front I'll say it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get asked questions. I'll leave that. But my thing is the base, the forts, the base namings and renamings or reverting back to new old names. So you had like Fort Bragg, Fort Polk, right? They're doing these things now where they're reverting the names back, but they're taking the similar name. So they're not using a Confederate namesake, but they're using a similar namesake of valor that should be that is warranted of recognition. But the new namesakes, Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Moore, and formerly Fort Johnson. I think if you look up those namesakes or the reason behind them, it is very you can get a lot of inspiration from that as well. I think they're worthy of keeping those names. That's my opinion, not of the DoD or of its components. If you look up Henry Johnson, that guy, he was awarded a Medal of Merit, Legion of Merit. He killed 20 Germans with the butt of his rifle and the bayonet. And that's crazy. Fort Moore, formerly Fort Moore, that was a family, and more importantly, a wife who their family served through various wars. And the wife, the matriarch of the family, she was a person that started making sure that families were notified in person about the death of their service member, not via a telegram or a letter. Mm-hmm. And that was even captured in that Mel Gibson movie. What was it? We Were Soldiers, I think. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. And then finally with Fort Liberty, the naming commission of that was a bunch of Gold Star families and mothers who collectively were in the naming commission. They said, hey, our children, our sons, daughters, they died to preserve liberty. And that's why it was there. So I don't know, what are your thoughts if you've seen it? Just like, I think it's very interesting about, trying to keep the name. I think the mind keep the namesake for tradition, but not the old tradition of honoring Confederates. But some people feel it's dubious. Other people, they feel, hey, Bragg is a brand name, or Hood's a brand name. You know it. Let's change it. We can make a new tradition off of it. Okay, but don't discount the new namesakes as well, though.
Yeah, I think two things could be true. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I think two things could be true. Because the old namesakes, like the Fort Hoods or the Fort Braggs or whatever like that, like some people never even learned the fucking namesake of that base that they were stationed at, for 5 years or whatever. They never really cared about that. Some of them do, but some of them don't. But you get so connected with the base, Fort Hood. Mm-hmm. You get so connected with, your Fort, and I'm just naming names of bases. So, but you get so connected with your Fort Bragg. You get so connected with just that part of it, like the name of it. It means more than the namesake to a lot of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, whoever it is. It just means a lot more. So I can see where people would want the connection still to be there when it comes to the heritage of just being connected to that establishment. It's mad T-shirts that say Fort Bragg. It's just not just T-shirts, right? Like it's a lot of things that happen throughout time. That's Fort Hood.
Yeah, like I got Army that's family that's Army, and they all have served at the same forts. There's something like a lineage you could say, like, hey, I'm second generation Army. My kids and I, we all served at Fort Hood or Fort, Fort Moore, or whatever. I can understand that.
Yeah,
I can see that. But
I think we still could honor these other people, but making establishments with their names, and using their names in different establishments. Like, I think we could still honor them like that. But again, like I said, two things could be true. I mean, I thought it was wild when I saw like, those names that we changing them back, but we just using different people. Like I thought that was crazy news.
Some of the families didn't even know. They didn't know.
Yeah, I thought that was funny news. But I think both things could be true. And I think when you use it like it's kind of like I don't know. It's a word I like, but for a lot of this, I'm gonna say it's called petty, and a lot of that is in the sea of pettiness. But a lot of different ways, and I'm not going to get into which way, and it might not be the way that people think I'm saying, but a lot of that is in the sea of like just petty. Like I don't know, from the onset. I honestly, like from the onset. But I don't know.
I'll just say for cats, just look up namesakes, names, people. If I see a statue, if I see a namesake, before I went down my history rabbit hole and making that my education path, it matters. When we linked up to go to National Harbor and I see the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, right? Mm-hmm. I know that was president, and I know that he was very progressive with a lot of policies that were great. And I know that he was like a mentor or an exemplar for President Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. And I also know that he screened Birth of a Nation at the White House.
Yeah.
And that film boomed the Klan membership afterwards.
Hey, so what's your thoughts? We're not even supposed to go here, right? And it's going to probably drag us a little bit more. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on today's ideologies correcting yesterday's ideologies?
I'm going to defer to Tisha.
I think that when it comes to that's such a difficult question. Some are needed, some are not. I think it matters the way that you go about it. And from my standpoint, I feel like that's the biggest issue with everything right now is the way that it's going about, which kind of goes into my topic. But I'll leave it at that.
I mean, because let's say we have a guest. Let's say we have a guest on our podcast. Because I think about this, or I think about we used to do Hero of the Week, and I used to think sometimes like, yo, what if this person just wasn't the greatest person? Like now we honor and elect, but it is somebody that's etched themselves in history. They got a Medal of Honor. They got this, that. Like so, we honor their legacy. But what if like this person wasn't? And like so, we had a guest. Like at one point in time, we had a guest, and somebody that I really like got love for, like DM me, like, yo, why the hell did you have that person on? Like this, I hate that person, and I'm like, damn. And it made me like, we've been fortunate enough to get like some good guests that people don't say things about, but like it's, I mean, it's a crapshoot, right? That could happen a lot. So, so that I think about that too. Cause what if we get that guest and then we find out like 3 years later that person's a piece of shit? Like, do we hold that episode from 3 years ago accountable for what this person did? And even if they did it I don't know. I kind of, it's kind of hard for me because, and even in like pop culture, like people did things in front of people's face. Like things happen. Like I don't want to go too crazy, but like when we grew up in our time, we knew R. Kelly peed on that girl. Like we knew that happened. Like it was a video going around in the hood of R. Kelly peeing on a 15-year-old girl. Everybody knew that. He went on to make Step in the Name of Love. He went on to become the Pied Piper. He like his career was great after that. And in the public record, we knew that. Times have changed and that's horrible, right? It always been horrible. I was really young in that time, like real young. But times have changed and now we are saying that it's horrible. So yes, it's horrible. And it is horrible. But I feel like we go in the past and things that were, I don't know. I'm not saying that I don't like it either though, but I was just asking like what y'all thoughts are about. I think in some cases, I like it. Like, yo, if this person was a monster for 30 years and then like it's 10 years later, they trying to be like straight, like, nah, we got to get you, man. But I don't know. Like I have a hard time, especially when people contribute it. Like some of these people that like these bases were named after, they were war heroes. Like they contributed to the war or something like that.
Oh, then we found out they were Confederates.
I'm not talking about like those specific people though. I'm just like, we didn't make memorials for,
Thomas Jefferson, right?
Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, Thomas Jefferson.
This is to attempt to answer your question from what I think. I'll give two examples. But I think to me is the way to do it. There was the Wilmington massacre, the Wilmington coup, right? It was a coup in Wilmington, North Carolina, where you had it was like the first like diverse town, Wilmington. And they had black elected officials, right? And then you had a bunch of racists. They're like, nah, we ain't having this type of government. And they overthrew the duly elected officials, right? You fast forward 100 years later, the ancestors of the people who started the coup and the ancestors of those who fled and all that stuff, they acknowledge it as a community, right? And then, they mourn or they say, what can we learn from this? The people whose ancestors led the coup, they're not boo-hooing like, oh my God. They're saying, that's my great-great-grandfather. He did this, right? And then we'll do better.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not throwing unwanted guilt. It's just saying, hey, you know what? That's part of our family heritage. But from my line or whoever's part forward, it's a different chapter. We account for everything. And then with the Thomas Jefferson piece, yes, he was a slave owner. And he also did the Declaration of Independence. And he was a president. And he was a man of his time and all that. To me, I'm not looking for him to be stricken from the record because he owned slaves. Did he try to overthrow the country? No. Okay, if he did, to me, that's different. You don't get a statue if you try to overthrow the government. Robert A. Lee was known as gentleman, revisionist history, right? Gentleman, great tactical mind, all that stuff. But you led the Confederacy. You don't get a statue. You get known in history. You're not stricken from the record books. We look at you as a full person. That's how I view things.
Yeah, it's like Walt Disney, right? Walt Disney is mad stories about Walt Disney, like real crazy.
It raises Bill Cosby, right? The Cosby Show was a big thing, but I can't turn a blind eye. If my kids watch it, I'm like, hey, just know he did that stuff.
Yeah,
but this show
do you
was
say
also
that?
A benchmark.
Do you say that?
I have.
Yeah, why? Like, what makes you say that?
Because I don't want them to be blindsided. I want them to know the full picture. I want them to be able to discern. Some people say, can you separate? To let them make the decision right? Because sometimes they might not want to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, because he's portraying Heathcliff Huxtable. Right?
Yes, that's a character. Yeah, and great lessons in that thing. That series shaped me a little bit coming up. As a 90s kid, right? Yeah. But for my children, no, you're getting everything. Hey, Dad, I'm not watching that. Why? Yeah. I know too much. Understood.
Yeah, it's a dynamic. I think we could do a whole podcast on that because it's a dynamic topic because it's a lot of it. Like they hit up the Dr. Seuss books a couple years ago and was pulling out like the Oriental word and like just different. It's just so much. It's just
those old cartoons from Warner Brothers, The Crows and Dumbo and all that stuff.
and we gonna look back at this time right now. Like I don't know. I just think the way it works is like in 30 years we gonna look at back at shit we say in here and be like, yo, you can't say that. Like it's words that like people can't. Like people used to say. I'm gonna just say a couple words, right? Not too crazy. Like I don't want to go, but people used to say midget. You can't say that no more. Like you can't say that word.
Yeah,
that
but if you know better, you do better. You say, as a little person, right? Yeah.
Yeah, little person but it's like, if you know better, you do better. But when did midget become derogatory? Because it wasn't.
Enough little people said it. Like, hey man, this hits a nerve. Origin mind.
Yeah.
That's kind of like that Jeffrey Wright movie. He was in college talking about the N word. Like, you can't say that. He's like, I'm talking about this is part of the curriculum in this context. You can't say it. He's like, what do you?
Yeah.
He's like,
And eventually in time, enough people could be like, hey, we don't like little people. That's derogatory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, some people say, don't call me colored. Yo, hold up. Don't call me this. Don't call me that. To what level?
Yeah.
If the level of understanding is there, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's a nuanced topic. That's great.
Calling somebody a dame versus a woman. That's different.
Yeah. Yo, I tell my mom listens to podcasts all the time. I tell my mom all the time it's things that like, yo, you can't say that. Yo, it's things like, I gotta tell my mom, it's the R word that people used to use all the time, like retarded, right? Like when I was a young person, that was a normal kind of word. Like I didn't know that was wrong to say when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like, but
I had a recruit in boot camp correct me about that.
Yeah, so you used to say it, I guess, at some point.
I said I said it, and they called me. I was like, "Hey, at the time, hey, petty officer, when you said that, I don't think it's right because, I have a sibling that's challenged, and she didn't make it seem like, oh, how dare you? She was like, hey, I just want you to know this is. I was like, thank you for that, and then I changed.
Yeah, and I guess this kind of drifting away from the correcting a record of yesteryear, but I don't know. It's all of that stuff is kind of looped in. All that stuff is kind of looped in together, and it's interesting, it's nuanced, and I'm super interested, especially when you talk about the bases and changing the names and stuff like that. I'm one of them two things could be true kind of people when it come to that. Right. I normally state I'm not invested or engaged in that because I am a two things could be true kind of person. I'm not that invested in it. I never really took on the namesake of a base that I was at. And plus our bases are named after the city, or you know what I'm saying? Like Naval Station, Norfolk. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, I did read Miller Hall when I was at Miller Hall. I did read about Dory Miller, and I've always been engaged and interested in Dory Miller since then. And all my ships too, I get engaged. I was just on a George H.W. Bush. I learned a lot about him when I was on that ship and, stuff like that. But, I don't know, man. I don't have that much. Either way, when it comes to naming these bases, I'm not mentally invested in it.
Yeah, just be sincere, man. And that's my thing. Be sincere with it.
Yeah, I think people be grabbing at this low-hanging fruit stuff, man. I mean, we get at some other time, though. And I'm talking about on the highest level. Why are we grabbing that low-hanging fruit? It's things we should be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's things people... Some of these bases that we renaming got galleys or food places that's damn near condemned. That these places need attention, and the food needs attention, and this needs attention.
You and me can definitely talk about barracks, right?
Yeah, we out here, barracks, right? But we out here renaming bases. But Tish, what you had, man? Because I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna go beige rage. Long episode, y'all. We missed y'all.
Right. It is long. So I've been in this space this week where it's for the first time in my life, I'm not exactly proud of the organization that I work for. I'm not proud to be oh yeah, I work for, blah, blah, blah. And it's especially coming off of being in the Navy. My career, my job history isn't that long. I worked for Target in high school. Then I went into the Navy, and now I work for DHS. Everybody know it already, so ain't no secret. DHS / Border Patrol. And Target wildin'. Target got a boycott. But even still, it's that's just a glimpse in time. Even the Navy has had its moments where it's okay, that's not one of our proudest moments, but I'm still proud to be in the organization. This one that I'm currently in, it's really taken a toll on, just me being okay with where I work. And this isn't no shot at, I love my paycheck, and please don't come for it, people. I'm just saying, and that's why I'm trying to tiptoe a little bit. But with the state of where everything is and how things are being gone about, I just don't like it, especially when we work in legal. And the job that I do is to ensure that the Constitution is enforced and that it's abided by. And that's what I've done my entire Navy career. We're making sure that these charges that we're charging these sailors are the correct charge, and that there's something to support it. We're not just allowing people to frivolously charge people. We're making sure that COs stay, in their realm of authority, making sure they're not abusing their authority and stuff like that. So to get into this organization, where I see that running so rampant, it makes me kind of question, like, dang, like, is this something that aligns with my values? You know, the values that I've been taught ain't what I'm seeing right now from the top, you know? And at one point, I was talking to one of my friends who's retired, and I was just like, you know, I'm really having a mental challenge with this whole thing, because it's like, I don't want, like, you go from being like, oh, I'm in the military, or military discount, or I'm in uniform out in town. Oh, thank you for your service. Oh, thank you for your support. You know what I'm saying? To go from that to, I don't even want to wear the badge, like the lanyard of where I work. You know, I don't really want any association with that. And I know that at the beginning, when I first started working there, I used to, oh yeah, this is where I work for, da 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 da. I was proud, that's where I'm working now after the Navy. I was putting it out there. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily proud, but I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Now it's like, damn, I wish I had never even said that. Because, and at the same time, I've never feared for my safety in the military the way I do now, which is kind of crazy that I'm like even talking about it, because beyond my paycheck, my safety in general, we're not fans of a lot of people because of, what we're seeing that's going on. And so I literally have to be more vigilant now when I'm going home, and do more OPSEC now on things than when I was in the military. Not because of the adversary, but because of our own people and what's going on, in the world right now. And so that's kind of where I've been. And I haven't quite figured out, how to work around. The only thing I figured out that I can do is like continue to do my job and continue to ensure what I can control, ensure that the standards and the policies are enforced. And that's a big part of what I do. I'm the check to the balance, and what I do in my job. That's the only thing that's really keeping me there, honestly. Because otherwise I would be like, I don't know about this whole thing. I might want to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But have you ever dealt with something where it's like you felt like your moral being didn't align with, I guess, maybe your job or family or whatever? Like, how did you kind of deal with that?
No, don't try to spin out on a question, yo. Hold on. She tried to spin it. She tried to say all that. She went on like a 10-minute and then try to finish with a question.
Yeah, because I'm trying to process.
I'm gonna ask you one question, and it's probably a crazy question I'm gonna ask, but I'm gonna ask you a question. Like I said, it's probably crazy, and I'm okay with that.
It might not be crazy.
Is it a reason why you won't quit?
Probably more so that I feel like it's a temporary issue. It's like serving under a tyrant supervisor, CEO or chief. They're going to get orders and eventually they're going to leave. So it's like, okay, I can deal with this for, the length of time that it is going to happen. But on the other side of that, I feel like there's something, okay, things are going to be better on the other side of that. So that, along with my paycheck, because I'll tell you, like, I have been like, thinking about the idea of like, should I be looking at other places? I feel like at this point, I am kind of keeping options open if I see something. Because I mean, like, I ain't gonna lie, and please, DHS, don't think about my job.
Don't say that. Let me ask you a question. So, you said like the current state of the job what's the purpose of the job? What's the purpose of your work?
So when people
in one sentence, what's the purpose of your work?
process seized property that was seized in the commission of alien smuggling.
Okay. So, like, is that going to change? That part of your job don't ever change, right?
Right.
All right. And I might be thinking too simplex. So is that what you disagree with? Is that part of the job?
No, it's not even my job necessarily. My job is that's the part of it that's like, okay, well, what I do is the check to the balance. So I appreciate my job and what I do within the organization. It's just really what we see out in the open and the actions of the leadership that's way ahead, way up. You know, I don't like their actions. I feel like a lot of their action is contrary to the Constitution, and so that's the part that's like, I don't really like how y'all rocking. And I feel like there's a better way to do what they're trying to do, and it's more so just for theatrics and for shock factor and fear. But we're all it's dismantling the U.S. And I feel like that's probably part of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I like, so it's funny because I don't want like listeners to think like I'm running away from certain topics. I mean, some topics I have to run away from, right? Because we active duty in the military. I kind of know what you're saying without saying it, but some of this stuff I really don't be as invested in as like literally like some of this stuff, especially if it got to do with like political stuff. Sorry for the listeners to let anybody down, but I really don't be as invested in some of this stuff as other people. I want to say that if I wasn't, so you asked a question. You asked like if we like not so, like.
Right. And so the question can kind of go back to, as it relates to the military, it can kind of go back to the Angelina Resendiz, where some people are probably looking at the organization and like, I'm not proud of the organization right now. And part of our, you know, us being chiefs and, you know, keeping the conversation open, like, how do you address that?
Yeah, but no, I think that's apples to oranges though. I think that's apples to oranges though, T. So you don't even got to use that as an example for what you're saying. So I'm struggling with something myself right now. I'm not going to go. We'll dig into it like probably the next episode. But I'm struggling with what am I going to do next, right? Like, what I'm going to do next? Do I like? If I'll give a broad stroke of it. If I go to a ship, right, which I will go to after my next duty station, am I going to a ship for myself, or am I going to a ship for like a higher purpose? Am I going to a ship to say, like, I have a young daughter, right? Like, so that's what I'm weighing right now is my future in the Navy. If I retire at 20, that means that I'm gonna be a retired CMC who wasn't a CMC of a ship, right? And my big juggle is why would I either want or not want that to happen, right? And then my question is, if I would not want that to happen, well, no, if I do want that to happen, like if I want to retire and have been a CMC of a ship or more ships or whatever like that, do I want that to happen like for me? Because it's something that you stand on, like, nah, I was a CMC on an operational ship, we boom, boom. Do I want that to happen for that? Because a lot of people do hold that value. We live in the Navy where people hold that value system. Like, there's dudes out here that ain't going to ships and all that shit. Yeah. So do I want to be able to say, nah, fuck that. Like, I went to a ship. I was a CMC of a ship. Or do I want to, like, do it for my sailors and, like, other stuff? So that's what I'm going to be dealing with for the next 2 years is my next decision that I make. Why am I making it? Am I making it for me because it's something that's going to add stripes to my jacket? Or am I making it for a bigger, higher cause and purpose? I think we kind of along the same lines versus retiring and kind of like being there for my daughter. So that's the decision. So that's what, just for the listeners, for Aaron, for everybody, that's what I'm going to be dealing with probably for like the next year is thinking about what's next and why.
Could I offer my answer to what T said and offer you what my thought process, because I'm closer to the end state than you are. right? Tish, for me, the way you asked that question, the way I wrestle or resolve it is, I know what right looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I know that no organization is always going to be, I'm not always going to be 100% aligned to an organization or a business model, right? But I know what right looks like. What you said before, I know how I was raised. I know how I'm raising to my children. If I get to a point to where I know what right looks like, and if I feel that my ethics, my values, my integrity is greater than the organization that I'm serving,
mm-hmm.
and the uniform or the badge or the banner is too heavy for me to wear, I'll take it off. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll know that when I face my children, I face my partner, and more importantly, look at myself, I know that, hey, I did right by Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that. I stood on legit principle, not just, being altruistic. I stood real, and that's what I did. I lived up to what I was raised and how I'm raising my children.
I like what you said.
Mm-hmm.
From what Tish was saying, though, and what you're saying, I think you did a great job at covering it. So I might be kind of off, but you speaking for Aaron and you speaking for Tish, and that's why, like you said, like Tish said something about like not aligning with my morals, and
Mm-hmm.
I think the question I would raise for anybody would be: is the organization like wrong and messed up, or is the organization just not in line with your morals? Like y'all just kind of say.
I'll say it like this. When my father died, right? This is the example I give. And I still want to make sure I come back and tell you about navigating the last 2 years. And we got time, right?
I got like 20 minutes on my camera.
All right. So look, when my father died, right? I didn't look at him as like this big, like Black Thought said in his book, right? He didn't look at his parents as these people on a pedestal. He looked at them as the flawed people that they are, right? So I look at the organization like that. It's not 100%. It never will be.
Yeah.
And then for you, about the next 2 years.
Yeah. Before you go there,
it's 2 years for you.
Yeah, I got you. Before you go there, though, it's a big. The reason why I'm saying like it's the way that it could go to. Are you crying, Tish?
Yeah. But we can keep going.
The reason why I know when Tish, when the tears come. But the reason why the reason why I'm saying that is because for however you think, Tish, it's somebody that thinks the complete opposite.
Yeah.
For however you think, Aaron, it's somebody that thinks the complete opposite.
I will quote Courtney. She's not here. Courtney has a thing where she says, unless they're family, feeding me, financing me, or something else.
Yeah. No. So the reason why I said that, right, is because you said the one thing you said was, I know what right looks like. Right? But you know what right looks like to you. Right. And that's what you meant when you said it. So I'm not really speaking for you.
No, I know to me, but I also know, we try to, the viewpoint. I still know what it looks like.
Yeah, but your viewpoint is based off of you and your experiences.
Well, this what goes into the ethics training and all these things. Right.
Yeah.
The right side of history and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, but the right. Yeah, I could go kind of crazy with this one because because I know how I feel about certain things, like what I feel is right and what I feel is wrong. But I know it's a mass of people that stand on the complete separate side of what I think is right and what I think is wrong. And they think that what I think, they think that what I think, they think what I think is wrong. Like, I don't necessarily agree with like the welfare system in America. Like, I don't necessarily agree with that, like 100%.
Right.
It's people that would disagree with me and say like, you're wrong. Like, but it's things that I just don't accept about that program.
I'm open to be going to arguments saying I'm open to say, hey, prove me wrong, not prove me wrong. Like, oh, hey, tell me, illuminate to me. You know,
Right.
I think in some cases it's no.
But I still want to make sure I get back to you about this CMC.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, we go. But I just think
and I recognize that, like, there is an element of, you know, someone can be doing what they feel is the right thing to do, or something needs to change with a policy or something like that. I get that. I feel like it's the execution that doesn't align, and that's
the
what
I was taking from you.
Yeah, that's the part
like
that
dirty
me,
practices.
Yes. And
that's what I was receiving.
Yeah, it's like when you're going against like rights that people have, because it's like if you're willing to do that just to do what you want to do, then it could be something else that's the next thing where you're stripping somebody's rights to something. Our rights could be stripped. As easy as it is for it to be done with that. All it takes is someone to go against a policy or not try to tweak the Constitution or whatever policy to fit their motive.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before.
Yeah, and that's why I said I'm not technically speaking to what you are, Aaron said directly. I'm speaking more for a listener that might have a different point of view. Now, what I will say is this: you did 20 great years in the Navy. You did 20 incredible years in the Navy. You retired from the Navy. You do not need to be at a job that's creating a disconnect with you and your spirit and your emotion and things like that. You've done it in the Navy. Yeah, you've been through the Navy bullshit, whatever, whatever, and the greatness of the Navy. But you've been through the trials and tribulations and all that. You don't need to do this. Like, if you have the power to be like, I'm done with this. Boom. I've thought about that. At like more recently, the way that we've had, like, because you've seen other things, not just the ideology of whatever's happening right now. We seeing how fast these things could shift, right? Yeah. To be able to shift things so fast without no prep, without no, hey, we're going to take all the books out the Naval Academy. Hey, we're going to put all the books back in the Naval Academy. These are things that I don't personally agree with myself in this organization. You know what I mean? So it's a decision. But in the Navy, sometimes you're like, well, I got a couple years. I need, I got you in my prayers. I'm gonna just say that I got you in your decision making. You're a Pisces. I'm gonna get a little zodiac-ish. You're a Pisces, so I know how y'all make decisions. But I got you in your decision making, because I know how like my wife, she a Pisces, right? And for the people that ain't really that in the zodiac, okay. But when she gets somewhere, she like to be there. You make her little safe place, do it and be there. She's not that fond of change, right? So she get there, she's just there. Boom, hey babe, why don't you? But I know Aaron got something he want to say. But Tish, I got you in my prayers. I got so much love for you and respect for whatever decision that it is you make. But I don't want you after the years that this is just me, my personal thought. I don't want you after the years that you put into this Navy, that we done had good days, hot days, good days, bad days, warm days, cold days, to be at another job and be stressed the fuck out. Because I will never be after retiring. And I don't want you to.
And that's my thing too. Like, I don't have to. That's a glorious thing about retiring. You get your pension and you also get your disability. And quite frankly, I don't have to do this shit. And so
you don't deserve it.
Exactly. So it's just like,
you served your country with grace. You don't deserve it.
Yeah.
What you got, Aaron?
I'm about to just clean myself up a little bit.
You hit it with Tish, man. Like, after serving and sacrificing, her and her family sacrificing for a full career, you should be in a place in your life where you have more ease emotionally.
Yeah.
But for you with the next 2 years, right? Okay, for me, I'm just juxtapose. I can't say talk right now. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, juxtapose.
Thank you. I never thought I was doing 30. or 28 or 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it aligned because of the financials. And I don't want to have to be doing a transition when I have 2 children in college. So for me, one part was, what am I doing to best support my family financially, right? But also I have to support them emotionally. I'm still in a place where I'm like you. I'm going to go operational this next tour. You know, if that's highly likely, right? I'm not going to do something that takes away from my ability to be there at the key moments for my child. All moments for a child are key. But, you know, people who play pro ball or these high business executives who take these business trips, they got to be away from the family. Everyone has to do some type of sacrifice for their family. But how much of a sacrifice can it be? So I say for you, that's what I'm doing. I know that, hey, my youngest child is going to middle school. And I said to myself, I'm not compromising. I will not be away while she's in high school.
Right.
I won't. Right. For you, you had the times where you were there for the child, for the pregnancy, the childbirth. You got to bond with your child, and more importantly, be there for your spouse. Right. Next 2 years, you'll find that balance to where what is or is not something you're willing to sacrifice for Amari and for Angelina. And then for you, your ceiling is way higher than the uniform. There's too much talent. There's too much reach. So wherever you go, you know, you'll grow where you're planted. And for the cats who are chasing the certain fleet job as a CMC and all that, okay, that's well and good, but I'm privileged. We're privileged to serve as CMCs wherever we're at.
Yep. Yeah, I feel you on that.
And, you know, your next job will interview for you. You don't interview for your job in this level. So you grow where you're planted, you lead people up, down, and across, and be an advocate and be a teller of truth. And you'll go from there.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, if you go sincere, you're not going to lose.
Yeah, you lead people wherever you go. I feel you. I mean, I thank you for that too. I mean, I'm still going to be processing for a while, you know, but I thank you for that. That's good insight. But you lead people wherever you go. I was on the phone with a mentor. He was kind of giving me, I didn't tell him that part, but he was kind of giving me the same I took the same insight from him as well. Like we here, and that's my job. I'm trying to lead to the best of my ability wherever I go. You know, a ship, shore duty command, wherever I go, I'm trying to lead them. So thanks, Aaron. I appreciate it. You know, we hit the 3-hour mark for the first time in a while.
Right. And no guest either.
I mean, yeah, we had Courtney for a little bit, but
I mean, like a guest that we're interviewing type thing.
Yeah, not like an interview, but yeah, we definitely hit that. That's good for me. I'm not going to do the book review because I'm not finished the book, but I'm going to be finished the book next week. I ain't been reading books like normal, y'all. Life been kind of, I ain't even really get into like the whole people being sick, leaving New Orleans thing. Like it was way worse than I ever could. Like I think Aaron might know a little bit more than I would say on the pod, and that's out of respect to people. But a lot happened, you know what I mean? And I wanted to catch up with you, Tisha, about what you got going on in your life, but we just don't have the time. My camera got 9 minutes left on it. 9 minutes on the cam.
Hey, good problems to have. Thanks for being a friend of the program.
Yeah. Aaron is a friend. He's not a host, y'all. I want to make that clear. He is not a host.
Thank you.
He's been helping us out and coming on. For the listeners, we had a conversation about the Tyler Perry movie. That's definitely going to be somewhere in the middle of the show. It's not going to be in the beginning. I'm going to move that around. That's getting shifted around. So if you hear this, hey, we started talking about Tyler Perry movie first, y'all, but that's moving somewhere. It's being restructured. But Tish, have a good day. Aaron, happy early Father's Day for the listeners. Happy belated Father's Day because y'all probably celebrated yesterday. But enjoy that, man.
I got to do one thing. Happy birthday to the finest the Corpsman, House for the Corpsman birthday. Corpsman up. I cannot, get off this and not say that. I will get pieced up by my Corpsman. So.
It's hour 3, man. They done turned it off, bro. They
getting receipts on me, man. So,
happy birthday, Carmen. Happy birthday, y'all.
Happy birthday.
Oh, man, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.